Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Return of the Knicks podcast. I am BX Sport Jedi Kev, the Dawn of the Watch Along. Today, I'm here to talk about the Knicks taking on the Orlando Magics. I was there in attendance, had the privilege of being there, being part of one of the many of the third largest crowd in AMWAY Center, Orlando Magic history. That was the third largest crowd ever. Boy, did the New York Knicks, did we make a lot of noise, Knicks fans. We were extremely loud. We took over that arena. Kudos. That became Orlando Magic Arena Center last night became the sixth borough of New York. Of course, Orlando, Florida, the Kissimmee area, Central Florida area is pretty much the borough, the sixth borough of New York City. We were out there loud and proud. You had the stars. One of the rare times you see a lot of celebrities in Orlando. Minor celebrities, but all in all, there were still celebrities there. You had Riddick Bowe, boxing legend Riddick Bowe. You had WWE wrestler Damian Priest, Dominic Mysterio, and many others. You had Dane Cookman's head coach was in attendance. You had a lot of different ups and downs. Myself had a privilege. Thank you to first and foremost, I want to thank Mike Acevedo and the Atlantic Healthcare for allowing us to giving us the ticket, allowing us to be part of that. We were in a deck area, the luxury suite, where it was catered and food. It was very very nice. Thank you so much, Mike Acevedo. I wanted to thank you for that personally and that group, the Atlantic group, healthcare, for allowing us, hosting us. So thank you so much. So let's get right into it, man. I'm going to give you my experience at the Orlando Magic, seeing the Knicks for the first time this season. I gotta say, being personally there and being in attendance, I'm gonna give you my honest opinion. I could finally say I could appreciate. Yes, I know Chef Dan's gonna probably say stop the presses. I could appreciate a Julius Randle. Yes, we could talk about what happened almost at the end of the game with the traveling. He hit a wet spot. There could have been times where, oh my God, the isolation ball. We know Julius Randle's warts. But I want to say I want to give him his flowers as much as you see me on when we do the watch along to know that everybody that watches along or knows how I am a little bit critical of Julius Randle and but all in all I want to say I appreciated what he did yesterday. Besides Emmanuel quickly, of course Jalen Brunson was phenomenal, but Julius Randle kept the New York Knicks afloat. When you have a player who is dominant or all-star, two-time all-star, you know, in Julius Randle, of course, I cannot take that away from him. He is a two-time all-star. No matter how much he makes us want to pull our hair, lose our hair, or gray our hair, whatever the case you want to use, he played like an all-star. He kept the Knicks three quarters of the game involved. Go to that key rebound at the end of the game. When we knew that Paolo Banchero was gonna miss that free throw, the way he darted and got that rebound to pretty much wrap it up, being clutch at the line, hitting two straight free throws, and Jalen Brunson four straight free throws to close out that game. Knicks played a smart game at the end, especially with not allowing the Orlando Magic to try to attempt a 3 point. I really enjoy that. It's a strategy that they got to try to hit is whenever you're going to foul and send the opposing team trailing by three to the free throw line, you gotta rebound. You gotta make sure you box out and rebound, on those missed opportunities, on the missed free throws. Secondly, also if you're gonna play the free throw, you gotta hit your own free throws. You gotta match the match, because the other team is desperate. They're gonna try to hit there, and if you hit your free throws, it just becomes a matter of time to run out the clock. I'm glad that they didn't allow this young team a 3 point shot because one, that place was packed. Kudos to the Knicks fans that we were there in attendance from the very start. We were chanting "Let's go Knicks." We got louder as the game progressed. Also, whenever the home team Magics will go to the free throw line, we were booing them. We were very loud. I know the Orlando Magic crowd tried to combat with the Knicks crowd. Believe me, that place was 65-35 Knicks fans. Yeah, we overpowered them with the amount of you can see the sea of New York Knicks jersey. TV does not give it justice. I know if you watch it on the MSG network, that was just one section of many of Knicks. I know they showed behind the Knicks bench, when they were cheering, but I'm telling you, from the top bowls all the way to the other side of the hard camera section was all a sea of Knicks jerseys. The upper deck, because a lot of these hardworking folks, these tickets are NBA tickets. Let's face it, they outprice us. They're very expensive. Luckily I was able to get put it this way, a blessing. Someone invited me to go. Usually I get the seats underneath the baskets. I like to get that on the secondary market, almost closing it close to the game. The point is, a lot of hard-marking families can't afford to go see the Knicks that close. But the point is, upper deck, they were full of Knicks fans. I'm talking about rabid Knicks fans. They were loud. They were, well behaved, of course. And boy, that was a fun game. If that's going to be my only NBA game going this season, I don't think so. I'm just saying, if it was going to be the only one for this season, it was memorable. It was fun. The game itself, the first half, the Knicks came back from a 12-point deficit and an 8 point at half, down by 8 by halftime. They, you're like, boy, is this a letdown game? I was looking at that and I was wondering, is this going to be a letdown game from the New York Knicks? You had a hell of a game against Philadelphia. You beat Philadelphia at home the way you did, good execution down the stretch. And you got the Philadelphia 76ers again coming up this Friday, trading deadline. Who's going to be on the team? Who's not going to be on the team? Is this a road trip where your teammates might not return back to Madison Square Garden? All those things are in players' back of the mind. I thought of that as I was watching the last minute of the halftime going dwindling down. And I'm like, man. And I know I when I was on a text cord back and forth with Chef Dan, and I said, excuse me, I'm telling Chef Dan, I'm going to the Knicks game tonight. I was invited last second. I'm gonna go, a couple days ago, and I go. And yesterday I told him, or before I went to the arena, I'm gonna go send my respects to Cam Reddish. I know he's gonna leave the team. I'm gonna go see him for the last time, and and possibly Obi Toppin and put dot dot dot. And I know he started laughing. Hey, it's the reality of the business. NBA trade deadline is coming up. We'll have a show tomorrow at 3, I believe 3:30. But if I get home, I'm being safe in case I have to work a little late. But if I'm home early, I'd probably come on a half hour early. So those that are there that normally watches along with us on all the Knicks Return to the Knicks platform, please, I would love you guys to join us if you're available to come on the watch along, and let's react to the trades or any speculation before the trade deadline happens. As the trade comes in, we'll react and break it down as much as possible. So back to the trade with Chef Dan. I was telling him about that could be Obi Toppin's last game, Cam Reddish's last game, Derrick Rose's last game. I actually did live stream. It was here on the DX Sports Jedi Network from the arena. Thank you for all those that were joining us, that watched along. Me at the arena, coming live there on this platform. It was a really nice setup there. We were really. I wish I had but one, they won't allow the cameras in anyway, but a nice video camera to record and bring the footage more exclusive to the channel. But all in all, it was a fun experience. Let's get with the game there. I believe when I heard from Jalen Brunson that Coach Thibodeau laid into this team, he was very explicit, animated at halftime. He used some choice words. The Knicks came out in that third quarter very well. They played extremely well. You saw the defense. You saw the fact that Emmanuel quickly had a really strong impact on the game. Boy, you could see what a difference a point guard makes. Not just not just any point guard, guys. This guy, Jalen Brunson, is taking his game to all-star level, borderline all-star level. Some would say all-star level. And the news came out that I don't think Kevin Durant is going to play in the All-Star game due to the injury. We all know what happened to Kyrie Irving. Irving goes to Dallas. So there's two available spots in the NBA All-Star game availability. Wonder if they'll bring in now Jalen Brunson will make it as a reserve, although you have a case for James Harden as well as Hakim Siakam, or Jimmy Butler. Uh, we shall see where Jalen Brunson gets the nod as an all-star. He should. And one thing I think I'm going to make a case for Jalen Brunson. He is number one in NBA with the most critical moments, critical points, 120 critical points. Either those are to go ahead or give the team a lead, impactful points. He's only behind De'Aaron Fox, I believe, 119. actually he's ahead of him by by point one, and he's the number one scorer when it comes to crunch time. So Jalen Brunson, it is a nod for him to be an All Star. Believe me, if we should have voted him as a starter, but we know it's a popularity contest. But before that play to close out where he saw Jericho Sims in that corner, and I'm watching that unfold. I'm a little bit on the other side of the court, but I'm watching that, and I'm seeing Jericho Sims, and you know me, if those that watch that you see me do the watch alongs, I'm like, we need to move without the basketball. Guys need to cut. We need to motion. And what happens? Jericho Sims decides to cut. And kudos for Jalen Brunson. He allowed that to develop with an extra dribble, a little extra crossover. And when he saw that Jericho Sims cut and he fed that ball there for that easy dunk, the Knicks goes up by 3. I said that is a high IQ basketball play. Um, all I can say is this kid, thank God his dad is an NBA player. You see that, them dad an NBA player teaching. You also see Jay Wright from the good program. When they tell you coaching matters, it matters from AAU to high school, from your parents, from even from all the way down to collegiate. You saw that. That is a high basketball IQ, seeing that cutting man be able to, the ability to pass that ball. The ability when the Magics, they wanted to double trap and trap the ball handling from Jalen Brunson. The ability of him to sneak out of those double teams or not possibly get trapped by the double team, having a window where to bounce the ball and get out of those crease. That's a big difference. Something that this team did not have. God bless Alec Burks, but Alec Burks wasn't that type of ball handler. That's why we saw the Knicks had a lot of turnovers. And they will be down this time with a ball handler in a Jalen Brunson. What a huge difference does that make? Even Derrick Rose at time is a predominant scorer, point guard, and he has the ball handling, but sometimes I don't think Derrick Rose has that facility to facilitate the way Jalen Brunson has. Jalen Brunson is the perfect fit. To be honest with you, what the Knicks needed at point guard, and it showed. And not just last night game because the Knicks won. You've seen it up and down the season. The Knicks are right now, I believe, 4 games over 500 right now. The way they sit, actually, 30-26, and right now they're doing a phenomenal job. They're right now percentage point in the 6th seed over Miami. Miami plays tonight. If the Knicks continue to win here, now with Brooklyn, Kevin Durant, how long is he not gonna return? If the trade, if how they need time to gel with Spencer Dinwiddie, Dorian Finney-Smith. The aftermath, although boy, we seen Cam Thomas, boy, he's just going on a scoring spree. The youngest player with the most consecutive 40-point games. So he's flourished now that Kyrie is not there, but they're still losing those type of games there. It's going to take them to get their footing together. If you're the Knicks, you have an opportunity to be opportunistic and take care of business. Jose Melo, saludo Jose Melo. Salute Jose Melo as the chat starts folding in here. And to see the Knicks yesterday win that type of game where normally in years past they're letting out games. They'll go into Orlando, they play, and they'll lose those type of games. Now with the Jalen Brunson, although that it's and gives that extra role to Julius Randle now to be a second to third fiddle. You don't need. It's okay, Julius. But believe me, again, I started off with the program giving Julius Randle a lot of credit, and I appreciated him being on this team and having an two-time All Star on the team to sometimes carry you until everyone gets acclimated or get going. Really was a big difference. He was a big difference on that court. Now, where Jalen Brunson, when it comes to crunch time, he helps take that boulder off of Julius Randle's shoulders. Now, kudos to R.J. Barrett as well. Had a phenomenal game, which I knew he was going to have. You saw the pregame that I did before the live from the arena. I said R.J. Barrett was going to has to have a big game. He always does well in Orlando. This is his offseason home, about 45 minutes, 40 minutes away from Orlando in Malverde, a little bit above from Ocala. Not Ocala, no, Claremont, if you're familiar with the Orlando area. And he practices there, so forth. And my thought was he's gonna, and he showed a very quickly phenomenal game as well. Um, Jericho Sims, I like the fact that Tom Thibodeau trusted him in crunch time. And it was a big thing because Isaiah Hartenstein was been playing so extremely well lately, and to show that young kid that confidence, and kudos to him for cutting and moving. Sometimes you could be involved in an offense if you're moving, concept motion, concept moving and not being stagnant, not parking yourself as an anchor, you become and of course that's what Tom Thibodeau. I personally myself get frustrated. That's when it happens when you do read and react. You got to read the defense, react immediately, not read and stay planted. You got to make motion. You got to move. If you don't move, you don't commit. You don't call. Maybe you find your defender taking a nap, and now you have an easy bucket. The way we saw Jericho says, boy, he caught a young Orlando Magic team totally asleep on the wheel for an easy dunk. Let me read Jose Melo. Randall's doing good because he actually has a point guard, and now that we can set offense, get him the ball where he needs it. Absolutely, Jose Melo. Now I know there was a spot there. I know when he had to turn when he turned the ball over on the wet spot, he wanted to isolate and hold the ball. I remember myself. I screamed at the top of my lung. I know he didn't hear me. I'm just saying, enough with the ISO ball. I remember I yelled that. And Julius Randle, I know everyone says ISO, ISO at the end of the game. Listen, when you have your All Star, all NBA team does it. Michael does it. You know, LeBron, and I cannot complain, and I'm not comparing them, but the team's best player usually plays a little ISO. When he does his move, he reads and he reacts. He sees whoever's open. The famous play from Michael Jordan hitting the 3-pointer, hitting Curry for that open three because he ISO, he saw, he had drew the double, kicked out to his defenders to hit that three. That's Julius wants to kind of play that way, but what frustrates with Julius Randle doesn't have kind of the handle there, prone over tone. But this was perfect. Knicks executed this down the stretch perfect. Gideon is in the building. Salute Gideon, and they executed it extremely well for that victory on the road for the 102-98 victory. Boy, the little bit of Magic fans over there were really upset, but the Knicks fans went home. I mean, my God, we were loud. Again, not to sound like I'm redundant or going over it, but I had a blast. We were extremely loud. One thing I gotta say, a note. I don't know how it came off exactly on camera on TV. The crowd in Orlando, we love Obi Toppin, and I thought it was just myself, to be honest with you. But if there was a place where this kid will could gravitate a fan base or take away a few Nick fans away from once a Nick, you're always a Nick, but to want to go see the and help revenue with the Orlando Magic tickets because that's going to be a young fun team. By the way, that's an upcoming team. If they somehow, some way, somehow get an Obi Toppin on that team, oh my goodness! Because this city, really, a lot of the Nick fans love Obi Toppin for some reason. Of me, for my reason, you know, but my goodness, Toppin, when he went to the free throw line, I believe this is the longest minutes he played all season, if I'm not mistaken. He played almost 14 minutes, 13 minutes and 54 seconds on the court for Obi Toppin. Had a phenomenal job. Of course, according to the net plus minus, he was a -5, but nonsense. He was rebounding the ball. He was more active. There was a move there when he got fouled that he drove the basketball from the top of the key. I was like, we need to see this more, Obi, please. Don't just sit there shooting threes. He went for a nice move. I thought he was going to get the dunk, but he changed flight in midair and got the foul. Phenomenal job there by Toppin. I like that. I saw that two-man game there working with quickly. Um, Phenomenal. Gideon says also Brunson took proper shots, amazing pass. Yes, I mentioned that. I mentioned that earlier, just right before you came in. I mentioned that about that pass there when the read and react with the cutting at the basketball. You could get over without. You could be an inclement part of an offense without getting the touches in your hands or being featured on offense just by your motion. That's what makes Quentin Grimes very extremely deadly, in my opinion, is the way he slashes. He's a 3-point threat out from the 3-point line, but if he knows he doesn't have it, I love his burst of speed to get to the basket, and that's also something that it's a extra level of his offense, a repertoire that makes him more valuable for a Knicks or any basketball player. That's why, Jericho Sims, with him moving, now you're going to have now the center cannot be rim protecting because Jericho Sims, if he's out behind, I got to watch this guy because he cuts and you got to keep it. I can't help too much because if this guy starts cutting, he's going to get a bounce pass or he's going to get an alley oop, and I'm fried. Especially in crunch time. So it was good there. Um, and from 1 to 10, what do you give Sims game-winning dunk? That's a big one. That's got to be an 8, Jose Melo, because I don't give it a perfect 10 because it wasn't a playoff game where you don't. It's an 8 because you did seal the game. You made it a 3-point game where now a 3-point shot only sends you to overtime, won't give you the loss or even a conventional basket. If he doesn't get that dunk there, and the Knicks give the ball back, Orlando set up for a game-winning drive, basket, free throws. But now, by him getting that dunk, now you're forcing the Orlando Magic to have to go for the three ball. And again, I was mentioning earlier, kudos on the Knicks. I know everyone says, why, why would you go for that? Why would you go for the foul with Luka Doncic? Hey, that's a play that you do that over and over again. You should be able to box out end the game. And they saw how Mando did. Bobo, 7'2" was out there. Wendell Carter Jr. They put their big guys out there. Good job on the Knicks. I also want to give Tom Thibodeau credit for putting out Harkenstein along with Jericho Sims, Julius Randle there to guard that last free throw. Knew they were going to miss that, and a good job for Julius Randle to snatch that rebound and seal that game there. Gideon says RJ stepped up in the fourth quarter and played tough. Yes, he did, and I mentioned that as well. Not just today, but not just when I was at the arena live. Before that, I made a small video at 3 o'clock. Aired it about 6 o'clock before the game, and then I said, what, I'm gonna go live. I didn't know I was gonna have Wi-Fi signal at the Amway Center, so I said, I'm gonna go live from here right before kickoff. Just giving you a little peek behind my thoughts on my current. And when I mentioned that video, I said RJ Barrett always plays well because this is a summer home. When he in the summer up about 45 minutes away from Orlando, he works out, etc. He always does well. His brother comes to the game when he's in Orlando. Last time I sat next to his brother, so forth. I know he does well in Orlando, as well as Obi Toppin. They like to play here. And I knew RJ Barrett was going to have a tough game. Gideon, I just saw that there. Let's say hello to Dave. Dave says, would you trade for Cam Thomas as a cheap option? This guy's a stud. First of all, Dave, I was one of them when they didn't get Sharif Cooper in that draft, and kudos to me. I was all they didn't get Sharif Cooper. Sharif Cooper's not even in the league. I believe he's in the G League right now. For as a point guard. And I know that was that draft when they kept trading back. They ended up with Quentin Grimes, if I'm not mistaken, on that draft. But Quentin Grimes was picked up ahead of Cam Thomas. Cam Thomas out of LSU was known for having this scoring prowess. The knock on Cam Thomas was he was a little undersized. At 6'3", 6'4". It wasn't quite a point guard. He was more like a slasher type of point guard, shooting guard. What Kyrie really is, but Cam Thomas now, kudos to him, putting in that hard work. The scoring prowess was there. It was just the size and the defense. And I believe going into Brooklyn was a good situation for him to get drafted, to be honest with you. He got the chance to sit behind or come off with and pick up brain and see from a James Harden. You know what that is going at practice with a James Harden, with Kyrie Irving when he went to practice. You have Kevin Durant on there. You get to pick your brain from good basketball players, regardless of the fact of what the shenanigans they do outside of the arena or requesting trades, disrupting teams, whatever the case is. At the end of the day, they're top NBA talent. You're picking up your brain and you're playing against them, going one-on-one in practice or 5-on-5, whatever they do with drills, learning certain tendencies from these kind of Hall of Famers. I think that benefited Cam Thomas and it skyrocketed him to the moon. I think Cam Thomas is going to be a stud. I don't think Brooklyn will go away or shy away from a Cam Thomas. I think he stays in Brooklyn, and I think they build with him going forward. With him and Spencer Dinwiddie, that's going to be a nice backcourt with Kevin Durant if Durant stays, and that's going to be, we'll see that when we do that. GM, what's going on next GM? Quickly was extremely good. versus the bigs last night. He made Isaac miss like 3 shots. Yes, Emmanuel quickly, he had a really big impact on that game yesterday. Um, really, really phenomenal moving the basketball. Quickly's the plus on the floor, regardless of the fact that sometimes I know you have a high expectation or microscope on Emmanuel Quickly Knicks 100. I know that. I get it. I get it. The same way one thing I started saying this. I opened up the stream, actually saying I appreciate what Julius Randle does. Watching him personally and keeping the Knicks afloat, where the other guys started to take over as a team. It took me in another island and appreciate RJ, not RJ, Julius Randle. So I get what you mean there. I get what you say there. Jose Mello writes, Kevin, I saw an article where Latrell Spiro says RJ does many good things and he's a good basketball player all around. But his next step is to find what really good at and do it. He needs to attack more and finish. I agree with you. Here's the thing, Jose. The Knicks has three left-handed players, and there's nothing wrong with that because everyone's righty. They have three left-handed who likes to space. One thing I got to give kudos to R.J. Barrett. He's ambidextrous as well as Jalen Brunson. They could finish with their right hand. Julius not so much, but R.J. has to get. I know people want R.J. to be more consistent of a shooter. I think R.J. Barrett's a consistent slasher. He needs RJ needs to play more like Quentin. Quentin Grimes. I believe Quentin Grimes has a higher ceiling. I hate to say that, but I think Quentin Grimes has a higher ceiling than RJ Barrett currently right now, because of the way Quentin Grimes just rises for three. Barrett is a stronger player, but if you got two guys, you got kind of redundant type of player in Quentin Grimes and RJ Barrett. I know RJ Barrett's our number one third pick, our number third pick, our number one draft pick, number three overall in our draft, and Quentin Grimes is 25th, if I'm not mistaken. But I believe that these two players at this time, at this juncture, are almost the same type of player. RJ is a little, RJ averages more scoring wise, where Quentin is inconsistent scoring. But remember, this is only his second year in the league, where RJ Barrett is on his third, going to his fourth. I want to say RJ could have a better potential of being a better pure shooter if he works at it, but he hasn't shown that yet of that on a consistent basis. So we got to see how that goes and how that works out. In my opinion, yeah, that article is correct. Latrell Sprewell needs him to attack more, and he's been when RJ Barrett is scoring and moving. He could switch and go Euro step and go good to the basket, even with shot blockers. I'm really impressed the way Barrett because he's strong enough. When right now Quentin Grimes is a little more quicker and uses his speed and athleticism. He hangs in the air a little longer, but we'll see with Barrett there. Barrett's just a freight train who's strong, and it'll be interesting to see if he could shoot an NBA season close to 34% from 3-point land. He'll be really dangerous. He'll be extremely dangerous. Gideon. Also, IQ took a smart shot in the perimeter. His defense was good. IQ IQ is putting in the work for possibly putting his name in that consideration as sixth man of the year. As I take a drink a minute here. Q is playing that sixth man of the year role for the Knicks, coming off the bench, playing extremely well. And let me see what Emmanuel quickly numbers last night. Emmanuel quickly 31 minutes, 31 and a half minutes. He was 7 of 15, shot 46.7% from the field. Uh, my God, he hit 4 3-pointers. He was a +9 on the defensive metric. Had 18 points for him, 4 assists. He had 3 rebounds to go around with those assists. So Emmanuel quickly putting a sprinkling a little bit of everything there, being a big intricate. Listen, the whole team last night. It wasn't a pretty game because I know when we looked, I was talking to our friend that invited me. I was like, man, this looks like that. Are they going to get over? Are they going to get to 100 points? It was low scoring, and I was like, ooh, man, but it was entertaining. The game went fast. And Gideon says Thibodeau also put the proper players in the game. Tom Thibodeau last night coached a really good game with the substitution pattern. He allowed Obi Toppin to play. I thought a lot of folks were like, maybe Obi, he could have left Obi out there a little longer. There was a stretch there I believe in the fourth quarter, or in the early part of fourth quarter, where Orlando was out rebounding the Knicks by getting all the offensive rebounds over and over. There was a point where Thibodeau was going to make a substitution, but he was waived by the players on the court, and I like that. I saw all five. The thing was, he was going to bring in a center when they got out rebound there. I believe there was a chance where I think there were like three offensive rebounds that Orlando got in a row there, and ultimately led into a basket, a foul, a 3-point play. But when he wanted to make that panicking sub, I love that all five of the Knicks players on the court turn around immediately and wave Thibodeau. No, no, keep him off the bench. Keep him, keep him. It was, I was like, you know what? The players are telling his coach, trust us. Trust this coach. And sometimes coach has to have that discernment of, you know what, you want me to trust you, but what I see on the floor, you're not showing me. But Thibodeau trusted his gut and he trusted his players, and they rewarded him because I don't believe that second unit after that played extremely well. They played all in cohesion. Obi Toppin looked so strong out there on the floor. Yes, is he perfect out there? No, but he giving that right amount of minutes to allow Julius Randle to get the right proper rest. I really loved it. Phenomenal job there. So it's a good kudos on the team for responding and getting more trust from the coach. He'll give you that trust, but if you mess up, good luck trying to get that trust back. Remember, this is the coach that, according to Jalen Brunson, was very irate and laid into them at halftime. He didn't have some good choice words, and the team responded. Next question from Knicks GM 100. Grimes gives me Brandon Roy every time I see him. Brandon Roy. Okay. All right. All right. I was gonna. Yeah. You know what? Brandon Roy. Hopefully better. Hopefully a little more aggressive, more better than Brandon Roy. I got another question for Jose Melo. Kevin, you're at Orlando. Let me know what you think of Bobo's ceiling. Personally, my son is a friend of Bobo. My son, he goes to his business store. He buys stuff. My son interacts with Bobo. He says he is a really nice kid, really nice dude. My son gets to meet all these people. I'm the one in the sports talk, not Austin, my older. I'm the one in the sports channel and want to interview these guys. And meanwhile, my son is talking to them on a daily basis. And yeah, I know. Go figure, right? So Bobo, his ceiling, Bobo's going to be a. Bobo has played extremely well for the Orlando Magic to the point where the Orlando Magic are very down on Mo Bamba. I don't believe if Mo Bamba doesn't get moved at this trading deadline coming up. Brandon Schultz, salute. I am well. My son is old. My son is 25. So yeah, my son's an older kid already. um, Bobo has played extremely well for the Magics, being a high energy center, coming off there for what he is, a backup center for the Orlando Magic, and pushes Mo Bamba kind of being a trade chip. Remember, Mo Bamba, they have to make a decision if he's going to be signed by the Magic. Although it doesn't look like the Orlando Magic and Mo Bamba are going to be retained. I don't believe he'll return with the team, and I believe they'll move on from a Mo Bamba. The Knicks will play next Friday. We played last night here in Orlando, in my home city, Brandon. So we are recapping the game on yesterday. My experience there, I was live in attendance. So yes, that's where we're at tonight. But Brandon, salute to you. He is a Houston Rockets Astro fan, and Brandon always chimes in and says hello in the channel. That's why we appreciate him. Thank you, Brandon. So Brandon always comes in. And when it comes to Bo, I think you could get you 21 minutes at good time. He's going to rebound. He's going to have 7-2 who could sometimes shoot the ball. You know, he does have a good shot for 7-2. He's nothing like his dad. He's actually a shooter. I'm trying to think of he's like a really cheap knockoff of Kristaps Porzingis. Not even like that, man. He could shoot. Porzingis at least is more athletic. Bobo looks like more of a too skinny, but don't be fooled. Bobo can move. He's really decent out there. But back to this next season, I'm pleasantly surprised. I'm gonna give you some thoughts. I was thinking of a few thoughts there. The Knicks are 30 and 26. They're 1 point ahead of Miami, or virtually tied. But remember, we have the tiebreaker on Miami, so we're in six. You know, the Knicks already won 30 games with 26 remaining. A lot of folks thought they were going to win 30. Remember, they only won 37 last season. So we're 7 games from eclipsing last year's mark, which is kudos and the improvement of a Jalen Brunson. Second, Manuel quickly becoming more better this season as well. Hartenstein deal, bringing in, the growth of Miles McBride. Let's face it, McBride, like it or not, I think he's getting some playing time. Sean Bradley. I thought Sean Bradley, but Sean Bradley didn't have the jump shot, Jose Melo, that Bobo has. I was gonna say Sean Bradley, but I think Bobo has a better shot from expanding the perimeter on that. So back to I was saying, and the Knicks, they were clutch. It was their 30th clutch game. They're 16 and 14 in those type of 5 points or less games. So there are 2 games over 500. They're learning how to win these close games. Knowing how to execute down the stretch is only going to help them if they get into a postseason. To be calm, cool, and collective. They trailed by 12 points in the second quarter, and they managed to go to halftime down by 8. They couldn't win anywhere there. Coming out usually back in the Knicks time, that third quarter of doom, this might have been a 21, 25 point um, deficit, and they kept it there at 8. They battled. Brunson, Brunson told us that he has some choice word and lit a fire on the butt. And kudos for the Knicks fans that came out to be part of that third largest crowd in Orlando. We saw a lot of "Let's Go Knicks" chants. I was part of it. It was fun to be there and being part of that. And I love that we helped this team as a fan base bring the energy on the road. We brought that energy on the road, and the crowd loved it. The teams responded to it, and we enjoyed it. And of course, Julius Randle. What can I say about him? He finished with 22 points, 14 rebounds, 14. Yes, against guys like Wendell Carter Jr., Fan Wagner. They've got Paulo Banchero. They've got some athletic Bobo. They got some athletic players. The Magic's since December 7th, they're playing over 500. I believe they were 3 games over 500. Yes, they started 5-19, but after that stretch, they're over 500. They're 2 games over 500. Young up and coming team with a lot of talent. Marquise Folks looks like he's taking that next step. When you have a Jalen Suggs, who was your fifth pick last year, coming off the bench, they didn't even play R.J. Hampton or Terrence Ross. They have a lot of depth on that team. It's good to see Jonathan Isaac back on the court. Jonathan Isaac's trying to get acclimated back to the end. When he gets going, he is a lethal defender in the league at the power forward position, who could push him to the center, and he could still defend about 3 quarters of the center in the league. So the Magics are an up and coming team. They're not going to be the pushover team that they are or they were. Look for them, and they're well coached by Jamal Mosley. So they're going to be really, really an up and coming team for the formidable future, and we shall see how that goes for the Magic. But Emmanuel quickly again gains the lead the way he gains the lead the way off the bench with 18 points. Again, 18 points, 7 of 15 shooting. What can you say about Emmanuel Quick? He just keeps getting better and better. For the way they picked him in the late rounds, in the 20th pick, 20, 24th, 25th, around that time of picking him, he has up past his coverage. A lot of us thought, is he a point guard? He's not a point guard. He takes some bad shots. There's been some up and downs with Emmanuel Quickly, but this season, I really don't see anything negative to say about Emmanuel Quickly's play. And I always been a fan of him because following his trajectory from AAU to high school to college, every year he plays in the same in organized basketball, he tends to get better and better. The numbers show she's a progressive, and he progresses every time. Where is Emmanuel Quickly's plateau? I have no idea what it is, and I'm not trying to look for it. I'm not looking. I'm not trying to limit what Emmanuel Quickly's ceiling is. I'm just letting you know what, kid. Keep reaching. Keep breaking barriers and ascending before Emmanuel Quickly. because man, that kid keeps getting better and better and better, and he's a student of the game, a real good kid outside the court. Phenomenal job there for Emmanuel quickly, and of course you're starting to see some of our kids grow. 8 points for Jericho Sims, but of course the huge dunk late in the game with 9 rebounds. So he was of 2 points and 1 rebound shy of a double double for Jericho Sims. Playing time, he's starting to play there, and I didn't think he was going to do this successful against this Orlando Magic team. And kudos for Julius Randle. I mentioned it. He did get a technical foul. He did get a little bit of a temper tantrum there when it came to Wendell Carter. Remember, I mentioned that in the video before. I said he's got to keep himself under control. There's a lot of chippiness with Wendell Carter on the play there, and he pushed him. Yes, he was caught. I've really seen it, and I was like, "Oh, please don't get." I thought he was going to get a second technical. I was like, "No, you're so impactful." But kudos that he contained himself and played well for Julius Randle. Definitely. Jose Melo. Orlando was fun when Shaq and Penny. I remember the school when they were a cool team. Everyone talked about. Hopefully they could get to that if Nick Anderson didn't forget to play basketball. I saw Nick Anderson, by the way. I saw Nick Anderson in the hallway in the luxury box and Bo Outlaw. I remember Bo Outlaw. I said hello to Bo Outlaw. Nick Anderson is not kind of a. He's not a nice. He says hello, but he's a condescending hello and let me. I gotta get going type of fella. But Bo Outlaw, phenomenal guy. Shook his hand. Usually when I meet them, I don't like to bother them with the pictures too much. I leave them alone and say, "Hey, how you doing?" Talk to them, and but Bo Outlaw was good. Nick Anderson, yeah, like you said, in the finals, they would have been a different story. Steve, salute, Steve. I will address that in a second, definitely. Well, I'm not going to do a basketball without acknowledging something that happened outside of the Knicks Magic game. Of course, Brunson will have his. He's gonna have kudos to Brunson. Will have his number retired at Villanova Wednesday night. So he tonight, as we speak, the Brunson number will be retired. And of course, the Knicks play the 76ers Friday night. They got a well-deserved next 2 days off here and of course they got the 76ers. They're going to take on the 76ers. The Knicks schedule coming up, they're going to play the 76ers. They have a back-to-back with Utah. They'll be in Philadelphia Friday. Then they'll play Saturday night against the Utah Jazz. They'll host the Jazz, followed by the Brooklyn Nets on the 13th, the day before Valentine's. The day after Valentine's and right before the All-Star break, they take on the Atlanta Hawks. The Atlanta Hawks, by the way, are currently right now at 500 at 27 and 27. With the trading deadline looming, who knows what's going to happen? We'll have a trading deadline special tomorrow. I'll be on at 3:30, but if I get home a little early, I'll come on an hour early, 3 o'clock, because I know the NBA trade line. I think there's going to be some action, and we'll be able to report it, react, and get your thoughts, get your opinions on what's going to happen in the NBA going forward here with the trade deadline. Where I think Cam Reddish gets moved along with I almost said Obi Toppin, but I meant Derrick Rose. I don't think Obi Toppin's going to get moved. I think Toppin stays. I seen that reaction that he got from Orlando. By the way, I saw Worldwide West, and yeah, we saw that. I was yelling at him at the video there. Then he happened to come around the suites there. I just missed him. Oh boy, I would have loved to see. I was so close to seeing him. I don't know why he was up in the suite section for, but he was there, and boy, I wanted to give him a piece of my mind, but I missed it. And yeah, definitely. And we missed that there. I missed seeing him, but let's see what they're going to do, what moves the Knicks will do. Um, there's a lot of talks there. I don't know if Fournier will be the one up. Fournier, it's tough to move Fournier at $18 million. You pretty much got to take an 18 million salary match with pick. I don't know if there's that many players out there who moves the needle. To be honest with you, for the Knicks, if they bring in here to disrupt the chemistry, I know Kelvin T. Jones doesn't want any moves, any trade, but you got to move Cam Reddish, Kelvin. Kelvin, and as much as I would love Reddish to stay here, you got to move Reddish. You got to try to get him a home to play. Go play somewhere. Um, get something back. If you could get yourself a prominent 3-point shooter, I know they'll talk about Reggie Bullock, but if you have Kyrie and you have Luca who could drive and score and move the ball and command double teams, you're going to need a Reggie Bullock on a team like that. Especially if Kyrie is not a good defender, you need a 3 and D that could defend the help on the wing. So I don't think Dallas is going to move from Reggie Bullock. Personally, they should keep him for that reason. they're going to need that, but we'll see there. Also, we'll see what's going on with if will the Knicks try to get personally. If there was a way they can move Cam Reddish and get themselves a solid rebounder forward, who just or forward slash center who just could rebound. I know what's going to happen all these minutes, but you know sometimes depending what team matchup you have, you want to probably play a guy who's just going to be out there for rebounding and rim protector. I don't know if that's available out there, but we'll see. Even if you have an extra piece on the bench that you could bring forward, but we'll see there. We'll be there to break that down, and of course, we'll talk about what happened in kudos. And I want to congratulate LeBron James for breaking the all-time NBA scoring record, passing Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He is now the number one scorer. Now, Steve Feldman said LeBron or Michael. See, I've seen both play. I know you have said as well. And I, LeBron James, and Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan is the better player because he won more NBA titles in less attempts. Actually, the better scorer, the more of a champion. LeBron is the better NBA all-around player. LeBron not only will rebound, will assist, will play minutes, will guard all five players on the field. In from center to forward to power forward, small forward, guard, point guard. Michael Jordan, phenomenal. Don't get me wrong, hell of one of the best defenders, but he couldn't defend one on one. If you would say if he had to go in the paint against the Shaquille O'Neal, granted they were coming in a different part of the time of the career, but you had Hakeem Olajuwon, Patrick Ewing, Rick Smith. You had those kind of centers in the game. David Robinson, Michael Jordan couldn't. He relied. He needed Will Walt. He needed Luke Walton. He needed Purdue. He needed those. He needed guys to play those roles to help defend. Where now this I know it's a different modern day NBA basketball, but Michael just I'm not taking away. If I'm starting an NBA franchise tomorrow, and this is a debate that could go for hours. This is a debate we could go back and forth. Numbers, popularity, choice of player. You could either one. You cannot go wrong. Either one you cannot go wrong because I think in different avenues you could still end up getting to the NBA title, winning NBA titles with either one of these two teams, either one of these players as your franchise player in their prime. But the point is, LeBron is more valuable in moving pieces in different positions that could. Michael will be a felicitator and a scorer, a shooting guard, and sometimes could get other people in the make Michael. One thing great that Michael has done, he makes other players around him better. LeBron as well, but what hurts LeBron's argument is when he did that decision to go to Miami to team up with high elite talent. Michael did it and made Scotty. Scotty's still an NBA player, number one, an All Star, NBA Hall of Famer. Don't get me wrong, but he helped them elevate to that level. Now let me ask: other than who has LeBron made his Scotty Pippen? You can't say it was the one. It was D Wade because D Wade was already established, and no, Chris Bosh was already established in different teams. Anthony Davis was already established. Maybe you could say Davis to a degree because Anthony Davis really didn't do much on his own and when he was his own fiddle. But these other guys, they did, and Jordan elevated players. Even that when he was older with the Washington Wizards, he elevated those players and made them better. Because after that we never heard of the rest of the guys from Washington. There was they're an up and coming team. They're going to be dangerous. They never did. They never went back to the postseason after Jordan. So it's a tough argument that we could go back and forth. It's a good one. It's a really good one. Let me read another comment. Semelo, Lakers are looking for twin team deals for D'Angelo Russell. Wow, D'Angelo Russell, enigma. I wouldn't be surprised to see D'Angelo Russell heading to the Los Angeles Clippers. Clippers. Clippers need a point guard. The Clippers need a point guard. They really need to capitalize on that window. You know, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard. Who keep an eye on that one. That's just my opinion. I haven't heard any buzz on that. Knicks, yeah, I've been seeing Vanderbilt way before it was popular. Yeah, talk to me about Vanderbilt there. Is Vanderbilt, I know he's like 6'9", 6'8". Is he really that player that could really get that rebound, guard some centers? You know, I'm not too familiar with Utah Knicks 100, so I'm gonna be totally transparent. I'm not gonna see him BS or sugarcoat. I'm gonna be totally frank. I know he's been a name mentioned there for topping in a move. Talk to me about Vanderbilt. Is he going to help his team? Jose Melo, another quote from Jose Melo. Jordan is the GOAT. Nick GM disagrees. Nah, Jordan wasn't small without a dominant big. Okay. Like I said, this conversation we could go back and debate, and either one, and there's neither question, neither one it will be wrong because the points are very valid. Jordan was a whole different kind of animal. He was. Jordan was. Jordan was a different kind of beast. Jordan was phenomenal. Um, don't get me wrong, but LeBron has that niche at that body frame and the way he was built, just a size above all. LeBron is above average when he was with few stars with him. Yeah, but LeBron, but remember, I could argue with you. He took those Cavaliers teams to the NBA Finals and pushed teams where he shouldn't have gone back to those finals alone. You know, he was there with a 3-1 lead. He was down 3-1 to the Golden State Warriors, and they actually won that. I know Kyrie hit that shot. Kyrie wasn't really Kyrie yet, because Kyrie was a lottery team before LeBron returned back to Cleveland. It's different. It's a good argument. It's a phenomenal argument. It's an argument, like, again, not to sound redundant. Either one that you would pick, you cannot go wrong. You could put compelling arguments for either two players, and you could even throw Kobe Bryant. But Kobe Bryant was a natural scorer. I think out of all three of these players, I think Kobe was the more better scorer. Jordan was the better player because of the championship pedigree, and LeBron is the most successful. No, let's put it this way: Jordan was the better, no, is the most successful player of all of them, but you could say LeBron is the better player. You could put and check all that. Hey, Frank Matos, what's up, my man, Frank Matos? I have not seen you so long. What is up? It is good to see you, mi hermano. Good job, Frank Matos. All right. Yo, Frank, I gotta make a trip to Miami. I gotta go see a Heat game. I gotta meet you out there, man. I hope you come back to the channel. Hope we do watch along. So whenever the Knicks watch along, come join us in the chat. I know you're loyal to the other program. I get it. Don't get me wrong. I know there's nothing wrong with that. But when we do watch alongs, they're not on the air. You can come in the watch alongs and join us in the chat right up and down. It's good to see you, Frank Matos. Again, you very happy. I love to see everyone in the chat. Frank Matos, man, I haven't talked to you in a long time. I hope you're doing well, man. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Welcome aboard to the BS Sports JEDI Network, Return of the Knicks podcast. We do all the watch-alongs. We've done all the 82 games last season, and we're so far doing most of the games here. Me, Chef Dan, and a group of the world's most famous chat here. We talking some Knicks tonight. I was at the Orlando Magic game last night, and I'm just talking to the chat and giving my experience. I just told everyone how I felt, how fun I had there. Now I got to go down to South Beach down there to Bayside and make some havoc down there in the Miami Heat area. I haven't been, I got to go for the World Baseball Classic down there. So hopefully I get the Knicks Heat down there. So yeah, hopefully we get that going. And of course, Jake, back again, Vanderbilt can do anything. All right, Vanderbilt could check all four positions. Wow. All right. Knicks hot on Josh Hart from Portland now. Really? That's interesting because Josh Hart, Jose Melo, I don't know if you remember, and Frank Matos, I believe you can remember when we had that We Here season. Josh Hart wanted to be a Knick. He made some comments, talked about how he liked New York and stuff like that. He had a chance to be moved, and he was going to sign in the offseason away when he was with the Pelicans. He liked the New York, so there's been a history of Josh Hart liking New York. Now, let me ask this: we get a Josh Hart on the team. Whose minutes? Portland wants for Cam Reddish. Okay, that's not bad. That's not bad. I got to check the money to see if the money works out there. Now, let me ask you guys this. I know we want to get rid of Cam. Is there picks involved? Who gets the pick? Do we add a second round pick just to make the trade more? I gotta look. Let me give me a second, guys. Let's look at the money. Let's look at the money. Let me open up another window, a small little, and we'll check the money. We'll check to see how much money both players make. If it's an even swap on the salary cap machine with money, maybe the Knicks will give a second round pick for Portland. If the money is if Josh Hart's money is more than Cam Reddish, then it looks like the Knicks will get a pick back for Cam, or even we'll see. Let's take a look. Let's go with Josh Hart, and we'll take a look and see how much money he makes. And Josh Hart makes 12.9, so we'll say $13 million. That's a high price tag. So what's going to happen there? The Knicks are going to have to send Josh Hart, for Josh Hart, they're going to have to send Cam Reddish and maybe Derrick Rose to Portland, and then Rose could be waived. So Rose would get waived by Portland, and Rose could sign with any team he pretty much wants. Right now, Cam Reddish, believe it or not, he's only making 4.6. So let's put $5 million for Cam Reddish. Not wow, that's not. And I think Derrick Rose, I believe Rose is. Let me see. Derrick Rose. No, Derrick. No, that's 20. That's 2006, 2016. No, it's 2016. No, actually, Derrick Rose is at 13 million. So Rose is at 13. So it looks like if it's gonna be Josh Hart, it's for Derrick Rose. Be honest with you, unless if you add another $5 million to Portland to give you for Cam Reddish, or another player on Portland's roster for around $5 to $6 million, or even seven, where the Knicks could take maybe a couple $1 million more, so the salaries could match. I don't know how much money under the cap the Knicks have. The Knicks could pretty much say you could trade for Josh Hart at 12 million for Cam 6, but if the Knicks gotta have about the remaining in cap space, you could send Richie Ardiacono, who is 2.2. It should work. Yeah, you're right. Red, you could see that Ricky, and then absolutely, it could work. It could work. Jose Matos, good observation there, and good point there. Let me see. Josh Hart. Let me ask you this, guys: Josh Hart or Grayson Allen? If you would have had a pick, if I'm telling you, pick a player here, which one of the two would you like personally for the Knicks? And let me look at one that I have in there. See Josh Hart's stats. So Josh Hart right now is averaging 9.5 points a game. He's getting 8.2 rebounds per game and averaging 3.9 assists. That is good numbers for a Portland team who really could use this shooting guard. For a point guard, for a shooting guard to get 8 rebounds per game. That's really high for Hart. Let's see I want to see what he's shooting. Let me see what he's shooting for 3 point line. That's the most important thing there, the 3 point shot, because the Knicks really need 3 point shot help. They are, believe it or not, they're 27th in the NBA in 3 point efficiency as a team. And believe it or not, and the thing is, what's the ironic parts? I know stats could be a little bit misleading, but the Knicks are 11th in NBA in offense. They're 11th best team in NBA in offense. No, efficiency as all around, and they're. Let me look at that. Let me talk with some more. They're seventh in NBA in offense, seventh in offense, 17th in defense, and 11th overall. And they're not hitting the three ball, and they're 27th in 3 points for in the whole league. So just think about how much more dangerous the Knicks could be if you had yourself one or two or one and more, one 3 point shooter who could shoot over 37%, with some of the guys now hitting some three balls, some of the guys getting their second legs like a Quentin Grimes, or RJ Barrett shooting more efficient from 3 point land, and Juice McBride elevating and adding maybe another 10% more hitting the 3 point efficiency. Just think about where the Knicks will be, not just record wise, but statistically wise. Will be That's crazy. Let's see what Josh Hart. Let's see what the season looks like. It's 3.3. Josh Hart is shooting. He's shooting 30.4 for the regular season from 3 point land. So not your league below the league average. League average is on 34% from 3 point land. He's shooting under at 30. But could it be if you put him? I don't know if you put him on this Knicks team where you have more where Randall tends to play a little ISO with Brunson, the pick and roll where guys are moving. Would he be more successful with the Knicks? Have more opportunities to hit the three ball. It should be interesting. That's an interesting there. If Josh Hart comes to the New York Knicks, I'm not opposed with it. I could see where we're getting another shooting guard to play there. What happens to Emmanuel quickly? Do you make and then in the second unit quickly is your backup point guard with Josh Hart? What happens McBride's minutes? I know McBride has been not playing that well offensively, but he's been coming along lately. He's been averaging. He had a 14 point game outburst, an 8 and 8 point game outburst the last three games. He's starting to score, feeling comfortable. Do you want to disrupt the apple cart with your guards? Which that's a question you have to ask. I have no problem with it. If I'm one of those who want to see them come and get. I personally, I wouldn't get. I want size. I really want more size for the Knicks. I want someone who's going to be 6'10", 6'11". That kind of. I know it's not going to happen. I'm just putting like a Laurie Market and Kristaps Porzingis type of player who could stretch the floor, who's tall, who's going to have that mismatch, who could shoot over guys who are 6'7", 6'8", who's guarding them, who's going to have a better look at the basket. Now it's up to the player if he's going to hit the shot or not, but at least he's going to have the better look and that creativity with this team that to spread the floor at that height. If he could get that and finish, that's who I really would like for the Knicks personally. Personally, for it, and I don't know if they could get it. I don't know that player's out there for the Knicks there. Everyone's like, oh, the great pick would be a Brandon Ingram. Brandon Ingram, who wouldn't want a Brandon Ingram? But then you're talking about giving up Obi, you throw Obi Toppin, possibly, and if you give up Obi Toppin, Ingram is not going to come off the bench. So who are you going to put in your you're going to lose a power forward for a small forward, Who's your power forward? There's so many questions, missing match stuff. That's something for the offseason to be talked about, and then you could reload, revamp, and bring in players from camp or whatever the case is, make a trade, other trades, and so forth. But these trading deadline, I think they're just going to try to get dead weight off. I believe they're just trying to get. They're going to get rid of some of their players that are not in the rotation, get them off, find them homes to go play, and try to either get more a second round pick or pick up a player who's expiring contract or a player that's not in other teams' rotation that could be interesting. Because Crowder, I know Crowder's the name that's out there. I don't know if Crowder will. Their sons and the Knicks. I don't know what the Suns are looking for. Jay Crowder. Right now Jay Crowder's not playing. Jay Crowder's not with the team. Could Phoenix really sit back and really ask for the moon for him? Where if no one really gives you your demands, are they really going to trade a Jay Crowder? If then you know what, let him rot in your bench. If you're one of you could. So Phoenix didn't do themselves any favor by sitting him and letting him go home. I understand there's a disruption. Look what the Miami Heat, they traded Desmond to the San Antonio Spurs. So Desmond got moved. Could Desmond be moved again from the Spurs? If I'm the San Antonio Spurs, I try to flip him. I try to move him and try to get him to a team in the East that needs help to go up. That's right now battling with. I'm not saying the Knicks. I'm saying the Celtics. I'm saying guys like that. In Miami, it's going to be a tough matchup, and you need front court power. Philadelphia, they need someone to back up Joel Embiid. You bring in a Desmond to back up Joel Embiid. to from San Antonio to San Antonio. Now you flip them and you bring some picks, whatever the case is. Now you got someone to go up against the Miami Heat, Bam Adebayo, who's got a chip on the shoulder, by the way, who doesn't like Eric Spoelstra, hates Miami, and is looking to give payback to the Miami Heat. If you're one of these Eastern Conference teams that you might see the Miami Heat in the postseason, maybe you want to inquire with the San Antonio Spurs, see what's up, what's available there. Jose Melo says Westbrook will get traded for a 12-piece Buffalo Wild Wings. Wow. Yeah, but you know what? You got to pay the Buffalo Wild Wings going to end up paying more. They're overpaying. Those wings are too delicious to be traded for Westbrook. Oh, wait a minute. I see Russell Westbrook has been working on his free throws, on his shooting game. So he's improving as we see. Let's take a live look at Westbrook shooting some threes. So Westbrook out there trying to shoot some threes. Richard Child, salute Richard Child. The whole picks are included, or should they keep? Or they should keep the wings. Ah, that's a good one. Hmm. Now for the Lakers, I can't wait to see what they're going to do because they the window. Let's face it, the window for the Los Angeles Lakers are really closing. Wonder what they do. I wish my friend Daniel would come on. He's a big Laker fan. Will tell us what's going on with the Lakers if they make a move for any of these players. They're going to get Austin Reeves back. Um, I don't know. You know, they were big on Buddy Hill. They're looking for some wing shooters. I don't know what LeBron wants to surround this. I know they wanted Kyrie Irving. Irving is not leaving. He's going to stay in Dallas. That's going to be an interesting dynamic with the Dallas Mavericks. You know, we Luca playing alongside Kyrie Irving, Christian Wood, who's looking for a contract, doesn't take away from him getting touches, getting the ball. You know, you have three guys. Do you have enough basketballs for all three guys? Luka demands the ball in his hands, who likes to take the team on his back. Kyrie is very clutch, although we've seen Kyrie play with Harden as well as Kevin Durant, but Kevin Durant and James Harden are larger than life persona, although Luca is larger than life, but there's a difference. You know, there's a difference between I don't know how Kyrie's going to see the European player to the American player if he's willing to fall, take a second fiddle. See how that works out. That's going to be interesting. That dynamic between Luca and Kyrie. You know, all Knicks fans are saying, please, Kyrie, go make Luca want to leave Dallas. That you know that's the first player the Knicks got a call for. If Luka Doncic says, "I want out." But I don't know. I don't. You see, Kyrie's only there for a short term. Melo, I'm hearing the big fish is Carl Anthony. Maybe he gets moved. The Rudy Gobert pair is not working. Edwards is young, and they can rebuild again. That's another name, but that's gonna be a move that's gonna probably be for the summer. I hate to say that because Anthony Towns is injured right now, if I'm not mistaken, and he hasn't played, and we haven't seen them on the court together. So I don't know if they want to make it work because they don't have enough of a sample size to say it doesn't work, Jose. So maybe they want to be they might I might be surprised if they run it back and maybe next trading deadline is where Carl Anthony Towns they say, you know what, this is not gonna work with Gobert. Gobert, that was interesting for Minnesota to trade for Rudy Gobert. I know he's a hell of a defender, but I don't know what they were thinking about unless they really think that Carl Anthony Towns is not a really good defender and they really wanted to battle bring defender and look and that decision might start the domino effect where you mentioned earlier D'Angelo Russell might get traded. You know, Anthony Edwards don't get respect. Anthony Edwards is a hell of a player. He the thing is he's in the Minnesota market. You hear peeps out of it, but you look at his numbers and you look at the way he plays. He's a good player. He's a really good player. Very, very. You're the type of player that's underappreciative, and if he's not playing for your team, you really don't care too much. But if you see him night in, night out, you really appreciate it and you really like what Anthony Edwards do. And unfortunately, being in the Minnesota market is hurting him. But he's still going to get paid no matter what. Minnesota values him, and of course, Jose Melo says new owner, new vision in Minnesota. Yeah, the Alex Rodriguez team that owns that. We don't know what their vision is if they're going to go with it. You know, they bought their head coach there, Finch. I don't know what he thinks about their players. It's a full year now with Finch as the head coach there. What does he think about certain players? They got him this player, they got him that player. What's not working, what's not working. We're gonna see the whole body of work with the Minnesota Timberwolves, and they'll make a decision where they're gonna go for. Maybe they have made their internal decisions when we've seen if D'Angelo Russell is being shopped there, where they could think that Edwards could take over those duties there going forward. It'll be interesting. Like I like to see the Knicks get Turner from the Pacers. Mitchell gets injured too much. Richard Mitchell Robinson, it is a frustrating player. He frustrates because when he plays, you're like, man, you see a lot of good. You see the good, the bad, and the ugly when it comes to Mitchell Robinson. A lot of stuff, the ugly has been cleaned up when it comes to the foul trouble. That was early part of his career. He doesn't get too much foul trouble. The bad is that yes, he is considered to be injury prone. Another injury. The Pacers just gave him a 2 year extension. I know Mitchell, we just extended him two, but I don't think when you commit a 2 year extension to a Miles Turner, telling you that he's a cornerstone, that they don't believe he'll be moved for anyone just yet. You really got to blow their socks off if you're thinking about moving. Anyone's movable in the NBA, Richard. Anyone could be moved. My point is, I don't think the Pacers want to make it work with Miles Turner. I don't think he'll be moved. You never know, but I doubt it. By the Pacers putting they gave him that 2 year extension, kind of told everyone, I think we want him here. I think we want to keep him. I think we're going to build with him. I know that Frank Matos. Fraser says he's not going anywhere. Good job there. I like Mitch. I just wish he was more than out. Yeah. You know what do they say? The best availability is availability. If you're not available, you're not, So that's hurting Mitchell Robinson. Mitchell Robinson is getting hurt for not playing, for not being there. I know we missed him. We're lucky that we had a game changer in Nerlens Noel, but we saw Nerlens Noel had a ceiling. He was Butterfinger. He was very clumsy in the offensive, but he was a hell of a defender. Hartenstein is more available. Um, Knicks 100 says his contract makes him more movable because he's signed for a couple more years. Yeah. Um, I don't know. Mitchell Robinson, he's a cheaper game, guys. Like you hold on to him until you can see there's no more you can do. Yeah, that's why he is not making a lot. He has a nice 4 year deal, but it's not a high ceiling. Yeah, he's not a detriment to the team salary cap wise. But damn, when he is really impactful. When if you got Mitchell Robinson here, you always gotta have yourself some centers. You got to have some backup centers. You need a really good secondary center, which Hartenstein has lately been playing well. Um, let's see. Nick Swanger says Pacers will end up getting either Aiden or Mitchell Robinson. Yeah, Pacers really wanted it. They really like Aiden for some reason. The Pacers like Aiden. In the world, I think the Pacers will want Aiden, and Obi Toppin was called for the Knicks. But boy, you put Toppin and Aiden on that team together. They talk about not defending. No, no. Toppin has a bad rap. Although Toppin has a 106 defensive rating. I believe that's eight in the NBA. And they say they gave that contract to move Turner. Okay, all right. So let me ask you, Nick. What's your odds he gets traded tomorrow? Do you think he gets traded tomorrow, or you think he gets traded at the off season or a draft night deal? Some of these teams got some kickers. I know RJ Barrett's contract kicks in as soon as the season ends. It's an extension, so that they call that the poison pill for RJ Barrett, and we understand why they gave RJ Barrett that contract extension. Um, Turner's But it didn't by extending him. Do they didn't they put? Is there any prohibition that he cannot get moved this season? He has to stay. Sometimes there's languages in these contracts where they can be moved by a certain. If they get extended, they can be moved by a certain amount of date and something. It all depends on the languages and the prohibitions on these contracts. Yeah, Richard says draft night will be ideal, but probably off-season trade. Yes, it's going to be tough to get these. We saw anything. I mean, look, we saw Brooklyn make that move. with Dallas, and that would happen quick. Usually, the trades that happen immediately, or they come to talk, or gets leaked out to the media immediately, are the ones that get executed. The ones that get leaked for a couple days in a row, or weeks, and it just lingers, never gets done. I think it's just to see what the. I think that's just more for what the fan base or the uproar, So that's why I don't put too much stock on the Obi Toppin being moved. The Reddish thing, I think they just want to move to see if anyone wants to bite and get into a bidding war when it comes to Reddish, because they know the Knicks not going to use him. So can the Knicks are not in a position of strength to be picky or asking for too much for Cam Reddish, and they want a bidding war by creating a buzz of other teams that's interested, that wants him, being rumored to it, creates a buzz there. And I think the Knicks, I don't believe, as much as I would like Grayson Allen, I don't know if Grayson Allen would be moved by Milwaukee. Why would you get rid of someone shooting almost 40% when you have a Giannis Antetokounmpo who drives, penetrates? You don't know when Middleton is coming back, if he's coming back, how healthy he's going to be in time for a postseason run. Why would you get rid of a lethal 3-point shooter in a Grayson Allen to bring in a Cam Reddish who the Knicks don't even play, who hasn't played for so long? It's just throwing chum out there to see if anyone wants to bite. If you fish, you throw out chum. You call out the whole schools of fish, which in this case you call up a whole different set of teams to keep an eye out. Oh, they're moving for this. Let me see if I want to kick in and see if I be slick and I could try to trade something that I don't want for maybe the Knicks. Maybe shine it nicely here. Maybe they think this is nicely polished than what we have. And I think that's what happens here with when they start leaking certain names out. That's why no one saw that Dallas. No one in their right mind thought that Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving will be paired up. If I would have told you in the beginning of the season, yeah, Luka Doncic is going to pair up with Kyrie Irving, nobody would have believed that. That's why a lot of those trades that come out of nowhere are the ones that actually gets done, that actually gets moved and gets executed. So it will be interesting to see the names that we haven't heard of. So that's why I don't think the Knicks will make a move with Utah, because one is Danny Ainge and the Knicks. I believe that relationship is a little bit stringent, especially what happened over the summer with the Donovan Mitchell. That's just my opinion, and I don't believe that they will continue to get back to the negotiating tables this time around. I think the Knicks will say no. The Knicks are going to play extremely hardball when it comes to Danny Ainge. Danny Ainge likes to hoard picks. He did it with Boston. He doesn't pull the trigger as he normally does. So I don't think the Knicks and the Utah Jazz are going to make any moves there. Unfortunately, I know you want. I know you want me. I'm going to still check out Vanderbilt Knicks because I respect that the fact that you put the work and you put me to watch him. I will do that because you're phenomenal with us here. So I will take that as respect to check it out. But I don't know if the Knicks will do it. Kevin, would you take a chance with James Wiseman? Wow, that's a good question, Osimelo. Depending what we're giving, give me a trade proposal with Wiseman. For who does the world champions want from our roster? Who they want for Wiseman. What is it going to cost us if he's available? But then what would you do with Mitchell Robinson? That's just that's a good question. That's a real good question. Let me look at his stats. Let me see. Let's see. Let's take a look at his stats here. Let's see what, because he is being rumored to be traded. He's in the rumored. Hmm. He's makes he's owed 9.6 this year, and he's making gonna make 12. So his contract is not that expensive, guys. He's not gonna cost us a lot of money to move. As I keep looking for more of his, I'm gonna keep looking more of his stats here. Let's see what is he scoring. He's scoring 6.9 points a game. He's averaging 3.5 rebounds. But for a 7-footer, the 3.5 rebounds worries me. We know he's an offensive machine. He could score, although he's averaging only 6.9 for per game. It doesn't feel like he fit at Golden State for some reason. I'm always hearing that ever since he's been there, they're always trying to unload him. That's the one thing that's been worries me about Wiseman. That even for Golden State, who has so much talent, plethora of talent, and they're always looking to try to unload him. That's the one thing that worries me because his name always comes up. Like he's a player that's not either unappreciative or doesn't seem to fit that team, and that kind of, to me personally, that kind of worries me. So I would be a little concerned when it comes to Wiseman. But for 9 million this year and 12 next, it'll be interesting. interesting for that. You're losing. You're gonna have to. Then you means you're gonna lose two. One or the other. Either I don't know if Heikenstein could be moved because he just signed here. Don't know if if there's any provision that allows him to be moved. Although I don't think so. I think we already passed that the restriction at the January restriction where he couldn't be moved first year player. Or you're gonna lose Jericho Sims. And right now, Jericho Sims is not costing you nothing. He's not costing his second round pick. They just made his contract guaranteed this year. He was on a two-way deal. He's now, he's low money. You're gonna stunt the growth of Jericho Sims. I don't think they'll trade for him, Jose Melo. You know what? As long as I talk about that, I don't know. Yeah, I agree with you. He just me talking about it on the air with you guys just convinced me Jericho Sims has a brighter future. Wiseman is much more taller, but Jericho Sims is much more athletic. And of course, Jericho Sims is learning. He's more raw, but boy, ever since he's been with the Golden State Warriors, it seems like they want to get rid of the guy. So that kind of worries me. So, guys, any other names before we let's go another 5 minutes and then we'll wrap up. So we just wanted to talk about my experience in the Orlando Magic game, which we touched a base, and now we're talking a little bit off season or actually trade deadline. We'll have a trade deadline show tomorrow. We'll have hopefully we get more folks on. Chef Dan, if he's off, I don't think he's off. I think he works. But he always hopefully pops in and talk about the trade. Jose, if you want to, Jose, let me know if you want to come on and talk with on the Knicks trade. If you're able to come to work or Knicks 100, you reach me out on Twitter, man. I'll send you a link to come on and have a conversation here. In fact, let's do that for the next 10 minutes. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna invite you guys on. If you guys, I'll send Matos too. Anyone wants to come on, I really don't open them much, but come on here to string me on link. You want to talk some NBA hoops real quick for the next 10 minutes. We'll go over some trade proposals, some teams, and that. Should have done that about 20 minutes ago, but my apologies there. So let's come on and have a conversation. Let's have a conversation about different trial. Richard, you're more than welcome as well to come on if you would like to, and we'll talk about different team scenario. I know Steve Feldman was talking about Jordan or LeBron. I gave you my takes on that. I thought Kobe was the better scorer. Michael was the winner, the ultimate winner, and LeBron was the better player of all three. But we said we could debate that nauseously. So back and forth, back and forth. For the ones I've seen, I saw Kareem at the end of his hiatus. When he was getting older, the older Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So I couldn't appreciate the greatness of Kareem, the way he played. Of course, I didn't see before Kareem, before the players before them, so I couldn't tell you, you know, Russell. Russell is the ultimate champion. I didn't see him play, highlights, but highlights give you the greatest. Wilt Chamberlain didn't see that either. So definitely, so that's why I'm going by what my eyeballs saw, from Jordan to LeBron and Kobe. Richard says, we need to move some draft capital either way. No way we need all those picks. Absolutely. Absolutely. We definitely, that's why I think they were waiting for those draft capitals whenever that salary to match up salaries for a big name player. Where like if I'm gonna use that as an example. Like for instance, in the summertime, Doncic doesn't want to be with the Dallas Mavericks. You got a bunch of draft picks that you want to add along with some salaries. A player like two players, just throwing names out. Don't get me wrong. A Barrett, quickly with a bunch of picks. That's why they were. I think that's why they were hoarding, draft picks there. That's why a lot of people are kind of giddy or what keeping their eye out on either how what Carl Anthony Towns and like Jose Melo was mentioning earlier with the management with Rudy Gobert situation, Anthony Edwards, Andrew Russell. If they're not going to go anywhere or they miss the playoffs or low seed postseason, Minnesota, they might make a move there where they might make something to move, whatever the case is, or the Phoenix Suns. Remember, Phoenix Suns getting new owners in the NBA, so we don't know what direction if they're going to want to do a whole rebuild. If Monty Williams stays as head coach, he might not get along with the new management, or might not like their philosophy, or the philosophy of the new owner might start meddling because he just bought this team for billions of dollars, whatever the case is, and he wants to bring his guys there who he could trust, to maneuver the Phoenix Suns, and then maybe that's not what Monty Williams' vision, and that might be a parting of the ways there, and now Booker might want to be a name that might not want to be there and just had it, or as Zion Williams says, I've had enough with New Orleans. I don't, this is a city, a market that is low, attendance is low. I don't see them as an NBA champion city. I need to get out to a big market where I could expand even more my brand, where I have opportunities. You never know. Those where they keep an eye on that there. So let's let's see this. ESPN sources says three-team deal is largely hinging on Minnesota values D'Angelo Russell in potential deal that will return a draft asset. Lakers, Jazz, significant deal to structure in place. I'm surprised he's going. The Lakers, Jose, I mean Frank. I thought it would be the Clippers. Clippers desperately need a point guard. They desperately need a point guard to go out there. Derrick Rose will be a nice fit for the Clippers. I don't know if they have salary that someone that we want will like from the Clippers perspective to come and they have them the salary, the $12 million salary to absorb Derrick Rose into their cap, so we could trade him for maybe a second round pick, just so we could get $12 million off our books would be nice too. That'd be another way to go. The Clippers, but I'm surprised that we know Westbrook is probably heading to Minnesota or on a three-team deal. It'll be interesting to see the names and the pieces being moved there. That'd be interesting. That's an interesting one to see who gets moved in that team deal. If they're speaking on it now, they're working on it hard. That's a one that might get done any hour now, any hour to maybe tomorrow. One of the first trades might be that three teams deal because I know the Lakers want to get surround. Um, Utah is going to get Westbrook. Boy, would that be something. Him and his fashion outfits out there in Utah. Oof, that'd be rough. That'd be hilarious. That will be hilarious. That will be freaking hilarious. Conley to Minnesota. Nice. And Russell to Los Angeles. So you got Russell. Do you know what? The Lakers could be a little dangerous there. Russell with hmm, LeBron, Anthony Davis, Reeves. It could be a pretty dangerous team there. The Lakers. That could be a pretty dangerous team. That's a pretty dangerous team there. And trust me, I don't think Westbrook makes it to Utah. I wouldn't be surprised if they waive him. Let's say hello to G
So,
Money. Hey Jim,
what's going on? What's going on? How you doing?
I'm doing good, and you?
Good, good. How about this? Let me go to, let me see if I can go to a new internet browser because you see, mine's a little bit funky, or maybe not. So how you doing, man?
Good, good. So we got the trading deadline coming up tomorrow. It's freestyle. What would you like to speak?
A trade that I would not mind seeing is if I were the Clippers, I'm trying to get a Fred Van Fleet. If I were the Clippers, though, because they do need a point guard to who's also a good defender that can run the offense. John Wall is a decent player, but Wall just didn't fit with this team though. So if I were the Clippers, I'll try to get a Fred Van Fleet. Another trade that I would not mind is maybe a Gary Trent on the Knicks. I would not mind a Gary Trent on the team or Sadiq Bey. I want one of those guys, Gary Trent or Sadiq Bey. You have guys who can struggle from three, lockdown defender, especially on ball. So if I were the Knicks, I would consider Sadiq Bey or Gary Trent. And and this is a trade I heard. I'm pretty sure you noticed the free team trade between LA, Minnesota, and Utah. I heard Minnesota might get Mike Conley, Utah gets Russ, and then LA gets D'Lo, Beasley, Vanderbilt. That's the trade I heard.
Yeah, Frank Montos mentioned that just before you came on the program. He mentioned that he was just put in the chat about 10 minutes, 5 minutes ago. Frank Montos was over that one on that one.
Mhm.
Let me ask. Me personally, I'm one of those who likes Sadiq Bey. I believe he's on a rookie contract, only costs about under $5 million. You could move a
Mhm.
Cam Reddish for Sadiq Bey
Mhm.
for that, and you could actually you want to send a second round pick, even 2 second round picks to Dallas, to Detroit. You could
Yeah.
do that for Sadiq Bey because you get his bird rights. Sadiq Bey, he's a good player, but right now the Detroit Pistons has too many of the same. They have too many of the same position,
Mm-hmm.
and and that's where the Knicks could benefit with a. I know everyone will like Bogdanovich from Detroit, but that's going to cost a little more.
Well, it's not gonna happen. Yeah.
It's not. No, it's not. And also you also have Evan Fournier there, who
Mm-hmm.
could. I know Bogdanovich is more consistent this year, but pretty much almost kind of same player if you ask me. You know, between Fournier and Bogdanovich, we could see Fournier has the moxie to play in New York. Be
Mm-hmm.
honest, where I don't know if Bogdanovich could. And Sadiq Bey isn't he from the area, from New York, from Queens, or is
Um,
that Halil Diallo?
I think so. Let me check. I think Sadiq Bey, where he's born. Sadiq Bey was born from Charlotte, by the way,
Oh,
North.
so he's not. So it's Halil Diallo. Then I used to get those two confused, which is the Queens native. So I believe it's Halil. Then it has to be Halil Diallo. Is from the New York area.
Yeah,
But
Queens, New York. Yeah.
yes. All right. So I got them confused. But my point is, I know everyone likes the OG Anunoby. I got it. I get it. But OG is going to Toronto wants 3 first rounder,
Mm-hmm.
possibly maybe RJ, whatever. I don't know. We don't know what the asking price is. This is just us speculating. But if you look at the numbers between the two guys, of course, OG's a slight better, but I do like for the price tag and the
Mm-hmm.
Abel and is more of a Sadiq Bey. You get a fresh new start under Tom Thibodeau.
Yeah.
You don't know what's his ceiling yet. We know what OG's. Oh, and I'm saying OG's not bad. I'm not saying he's not terrible, but the price tag might be too much rich for the
Yeah.
team, where it's not really going to make that big impact to make you. You're going to get the same amount
Mhm.
result with less money than would you with a Sadiq Bey
Oh,
as well
sorry.
as OG.
Right. I'm sorry for that.
No, no, you're good. But I thought you wanted to mention something before.
No, 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 no. You're good. One thing I want to add: Sadiq Bey is also durable. OG Anunoby is not that durable. Sadiq Bey is durable.
All right, and they're both the same, 6'8".
Mm-hmm.
You're getting the same 6'8", and just wanted to compare. I think OG is a little more of a rebounder than Sadiq Bey,
It's
but
true.
you're playing on a. But he's playing. Well, both teams haven't been really that good. Although Toronto is in the kind of a playing for a postseason, where Detroit, we know it's a full rebuild, but the numbers are almost similar.
Mm-hmm.
It's hey, personally, I would like Sadiq Bey. Just at the
Me
bottom
too.
line, I will personally like Sadiq Bey. I've been saying that for about a week and a half, almost 2 weeks on the stream. It's going to cost less. I will try to move Reddish in that move because now Reddish gets some time at the wing position in Detroit. They're not going anywhere. They could afford to play and see what they have in a Cam Reddish, have their rights. They want to sign him. They could because they still haven't paid some of their young rookie players. And if they can always move Reddish 2 years, a year down the road, they re-sign them, whatever the case is, that will work for them. Um, Derrick Rose, where would you want to send him to if you had a chance to send him to somewhere?
If I want Derrick Rose to have a shot to win a championship, I would not mind him seeing the Milwaukee Bucks. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I would not mind the Knicks sending him to the Milwaukee Bucks. Salute, nice, so nice. What's going on?
Let me give the proper acknowledgement and welcome to my man that have not seen you in a few months, Mr. Nice. It is pleasure to talk to you again. How you be? How's Colorado? How's the family? How's everybody?
Oh, Colorado's great, man. As usual, cannot complain. Love what you doing. Love everybody over here in the panel, and love everybody in the chat. How's everything going, guys?
Good, 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 good. How's your day been going, bro?
Oh man, just coming back from work. Keep on pushing,
Mm-hmm.
man.
Nice. So,
Forget Sadiq Bey, forget
okay.
Trey, forget everybody. Get KD, get KD. I'm telling you right now. I don't know. I'm having goosebumps just thinking that if we actually get KD, and whatever people think that Julius Randle, that's the most he's going to give, he's going to learn so much from KD that we
True.
we have not seen nothing with Julius Randle as of yet. And guess what? We also have Brunson.
Right.
So how many people is going to actually learn from somebody that has that experience, that pedigree with that franchise name of a KD?
Mhm.
Sadiq Bey, he ain't going to do it. Trent, he ain't going to do it. We don't have those type of players that's going to do it because haven't you noticed that there's so many good players or somewhat good players that they doing something at their team as of right now, but once they come to the Knicks, it's not the same.
Let me ask you this: who removing to one to match the salaries to
Keep
Brooklyn? And man, and will Brooklyn want to play games with or deal with the Knicks? They'll hang up on him.
well, just like I said early on, and G Money already heard me. Have you heard with what type of murder scene Dallas got away with?
They traded a
Because
Dunkin' Donuts. They traded a Dunkin' Donut. They traded a donut, pretty much Coca-Cola to get Uncle Drew. Yeah.
without
Wait,
the prize, without the prize.
but but nice. Let me. Okay, I'm gonna. I just want to be a little bit of a devil's advocate.
Uh-huh.
Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving is now in the Western Conference.
Yeah.
You're Brooklyn. You're not going to see them at all. You still got. I believe the Knicks still got 2 games left for Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, New York has two. Yeah, New York has 2 games left with Brooklyn. Yeah,
So if you're Brooklyn in that city, where boy, that's you trade Kevin Durant. I know, which they have to, by the way, because that's an affiliate. That's a different question, a different argument. But boy, that arena is going to be one empty. And then if Kevin Durant goes back in a Knicks uniform to play the Brooklyn Nets, that is one. They're going to get killed with the PR, especially if the Knicks end up with the 5 seed and the Brooklyn stays and holds the course at the 4, and you play them the first round of the playoffs, but this time Kevin Durant's on the Knicks. Oh my God, that's the PR nightmare. The owners can't. The Brooklyn Nets owners won't even don't even stomach it. The guys will get fired. It'll be a PR disaster.
Hey, BX,
crazy.
I'm just gonna keep it simple. The New Jersey, I mean the Brooklyn Nets.
Mhm.
We have what they need.
Yeah. Okay.
We got a lot of first round picks.
Okay. Right.
That's true.
So that's it. With that trade that they made with for Kyrie Irving, getting back whatever they got back, it did not move a needle. So I'm just saying, what like right now, as a front office, everybody want to complain and say something about the New York Knicks. The laughing franchise right now, as of right now, is the Brooklyn Nets. Because as much as Kyrie's this, Kyrie that, he's a headache, he's that, you cannot take away he has talent.
That is
Right.
true.
That's true.
And you cannot tell me that if you put it out in the market saying like, hey, we open for a negotiation. I'm pretty sure it's not only going to be that, it's going to be more than one team, 2 teams. I heard even Lakers, they was talking about 2 first round picks
Mhm.
plus a couple. So it's like, wait, it was better than the Dallas trade.
Right.
Yeah,
So what are you guys doing? As of right now, they are looking like a circus. They are looking whatever we used to look like 10 years ago. New Jersey, I mean Brooklyn Nets has already taken over.
well, for us, for New York to get K, I don't think this would ever happen. I don't think this would ever happen. But for New York to get KD, hypothetically speaking, from Brooklyn, the Knicks would need to trade Obi, RJ, Cam Reddish, Evan Fournier.
Unfortunately.
Uh, hang on, Obi, RJ, Cam Fournier. I'll probably throw Speed Mikhailo in there and like some picks, like 2 first round, maybe something unprotected,
It's gonna
2
take
second round.
it's
Yeah,
gonna take a lot of picks to
it's gonna be
get
a
that.
lot though. Because I remember
Hey,
Rudy Gobert had what 5 first round picks when
yeah,
Minnesota traded
but
for Gobert.
so we had a conversation back in the old days, like a year ago, that people kept on saying, well, yeah, but what's that dude name from damn, I forgot, Dame Lillard.
Mhm.
Yeah, but he's not looking pretty good. He's not looking this. He's not looking that. KD, you cannot have that type of conversation. KD has never declined. He's still looking like
He
at
was
his
looking like
best.
MVP this
Yeah,
season.
yeah. So at the end of the day, All right, as much I don't like KD, I gotta put my feelings on the side. It has nothing to do with feelings. It has to do with talent.
He was a
New York
beast.
Knicks, New York Knicks. That's what they need right now. Put your feelings on the side. Whatever KD said, start having that same type of treatment that we are giving Julius Randle about thumbs down, about this. He flipping people clipboard on his assistant coach or whatever. Put it on the side because now is a time that we need to start making smart moves. Imagine KD, Jalen Brunson, Julius Randle, Mitchell Robinson. Oh
Quinn
my
Grimes.
Oh my God! Now I want Creighton Grimes on the bench because I want
Yes.
this. I want this team stacked from bottom to top or from top to bottom.
Mhm.
That's how I want it.
True. I just don't think this would happen though.
I don't
It's,
think
it's
so.
I don't think so. Sean Mark's gonna listen. I just doubt it though. The
I
only
don't.
like the
I
only
don't.
like realistic thing Katie might go is like Phoenix. That's it. I just don't. I don't think Sean Marks is gonna trade Katie to an Eastern Conference team. I doubt it.
Does Phoenix has what we have?
I mean,
All the first round picks plus
yeah.
more.
Well, that's
Yeah, but
some first.
they have DeAndre Ayton.
Dion. It would have to be Da Cam Johnson.
That's a
You
lot.
might have to throw in Cameron Payne in there and maybe some picks.
All
That's a
right.
lot. That makes the Brooklyn Nets pretty viable. They might be top notch mediocre team, but that with those guys there, then what the Knicks will give the Brooklyn Nets. But listen, I could even see the Miami Heat trading for Kevin Durant.
Very
Yeah,
possible.
but we talking about Suns. It's not like Suns is in top three.
No, we
Suns is
know that.
like two different two better position than the Knicks are in their division. That's
Correct.
it. So we're not talking about that much of a leap. Well, I take it back. We talk, but they not the Knicks. We the Knicks. You know, I want
I
KD on
got
our
you. I
team.
got you. No, we would love to guy in Kevin Durant, but the Knicks could not been in that position to pay him for a year to rehab, and I don't
Right.
blame them. I didn't blame them for not going in that direction because this team needed to show us that they were building. Um,
Hmm.
it'd be interesting. Is it a pipe dream? Possibly. Would it be a pleasantly pipe dream to get Kevin Durant on the team? Absolutely, it'd be phenomenal because right. Let me tell you one thing. There be at least second round favorite. They'll at least make the second round with Kevin Durant easily
Yeah.
on this team,
Oh yeah.
easily, easily, and possibly. And I'm not gonna. I'm not even gonna say Eastern Conference Finals. I'm just gonna be. I'm gonna be modest on that. But I don't know. That's a tough one. You don't see them. You don't. Yeah, you don't see. I don't see them coming with that trade. I don't see these times. I don't even think they'll even fathom picking up the phone. The only way they're gonna do this deal if they happen to be eating at Peter Luger's steak dinner.
Unless we
BX.
trade with Papa John's pizza, maybe give him the whole Statue of Liberty, be like,
No, they got no. You Papa John's is cheap. I'm talking about Peter Luger's. Those steaks. If they're both having steaks at Peter Luger's, and they
yeah,
happen to be there at a separate lunch time or dinner time, and they happen to see each other, maybe they'll talk about Kevin Durant to the Knicks. But I doubt that.
You know
Dolan. Mm-mm.
you know something, BX. Based on what you just said, just think about it this way. Julius Randle, it's not that he's not one of he's a great player. He's not the best player
Right.
agree,
on stats and compared to
agree.
superstar. But as of right now, I'm having goosebumps that the only thing that Julius Randle needs is that type of mentor that could
I agree
tell
with that.
him do this, do that, and because think about it this way: do you think everything that you see him from IQ is because he's a student of the game? Yeah, he's a student of the game, but you also have Jalen Brunson. So there's certain things that he's picking up from Jalen Brunson. Imagine
Mm.
how much of a leap. And remember this: Julius Randle has done like a late leap when he was like 25 or 26. Yeah, he started going up. But imagine with KD telling him what to do, what not to do, and what to do different. That's what I'm looking for.
Right, right, right. Right, and I just what about? And I just saw a comment about, and this is another thing. Russell Westbrook potentially going to the Jazz. You think that's going to happen? I have a feeling they're going to decline this though.
No, I think that trade was like Frank was saying. If that were to happen, I believe Westbrook will be bought out. Definitely, just let him go sign what he wants to. Westbrook will be a free agent. Could we see him go to the Clippers if he's a free agent?
Possible.
Because Clippers need a point guard if they don't address it at the trading deadline. Could we see the Clippers or Russell Westbrook makes his way to Miami for South Beach
Hmm.
because
Hmm.
the fan base is sick and tired of Kyle Lowry. They're going to need a point guard,
Hmm.
and if you it's a sign for a veteran minimum, for the remainder of the season, he'll go to Miami, play with Bam, where he can have some success. You never know.
Hmm. And also play with Butler, who's hard nosed himself. I think it would fit. That's the only places he would go. If I don't think the Lakers are going to trade Russ right now. I just don't think this is going to happen.
You don't,
But
I
if the
don't think
Lakers,
so.
oh, you think he's gone by? You think he's gone by tomorrow?
Yeah, because this is like he's an expiring. What makes it exciting or intriguing with a Russell Westbrook is that he is a expiring contract. Team wanting to get expiring contract out if they could move a salary, that they have on the books. Like right now, like you right, like the proposed trade here, D'Angelo Russell comes off the Minnesota books.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they'll bring in some players from going to Minnesota, but for Conley is a pretty good backup point guard, which they need there to play. And with Anthony Edwards, they feel that's a move they could go with. Conley was a year removed ago. He was pretty much, well, was it most improved player, right? He was in the running for most improved player last year. Conley,
Mike
alongside
Conley.
Donovan.
I
Didn't he
think
make an All Star couple about a year ago, year or
Mike
two ago?
Conley. I think Mike Conley did make an All Star team. Yeah,
Yeah, he
was
was
it
about. He was,
2021? Yeah.
let's say a year and a half ago, removed from an All Star appearance.
Hmm.
That Minnesota wants to kind of rekindle that. And they want to bring in and get rid of DeAndre Russell's contract, bring in Conley, who's probably going to expire his contract soon, maybe a year left on his deal. It works out that trade if that happens, and then I can still see Westbrook making his way there to Miami personally.
Possible, very possible, very possible. Because I know Russ can be a little bit. His head can be screws loose sometimes, but he can dish the rock when he wants to. He's still a good rebounding guard, and still pretty. I'm not saying he's as athletic as he was with OKC, but he still can zoom his way through the cup though.
Right. With the emergence of Cam Thomas, if you're Brooklyn, do you really want to bring in Westbrook in? Unless if Westbrook knows his complete role with Durant there, maybe Cam Thomas is going to have more ball handling. You have Patty Mills. I know Brooklyn. I know Darnell Davis was talking about Westbrook to Brooklyn or Boston. Boston is interesting because I don't know if they would Smart. It will work because Smart plays hella. It's the defensive anchor there in the perimeter. You got
Mhm.
Jalen Brown, Tatum. It will with him off the bench. It'll be fun. It'll be interesting to see on that there for Boston. Or the Boston. I wouldn't be surprised if Boston calls up San Antonio for Desmond.
Mhm.
Desmond got traded from Miami to San Antonio. Could they flip
Yeah.
him? And Boston, and you, if you're Boston, I'm trying to bring in Desmond because you bring in Desmond in who has a chip on the shoulder against the Miami Heat. You bring him back to the Eastern Conference. Guess what? Boston, that might be a potential playoff matchup, Boston and Miami. And you have a
Mhm.
Desmond who hates the coach and hates the organization, dislike. He's going to go above and beyond and try to knock them out going into postseason. That's going to be interesting.
That would be spicy and juicy. And Deadman's also a good veteran to have on your team. And as a big, he's a very good defender in the paint sometimes, and he could stretch the floor and splash from downtown sometimes.
And that's what Boston needs. And also 76ers. I was mentioning that earlier in the program, either one.
Hmm. Yep. Yep. Yeah. And another team that might make a trade, Dallas, I heard, is putting Tim Hardaway in trade rumors and trying to get Tyrese Maxey.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you think that's a good move if you're Dallas trying to get Matisse Thybulle? Matisse Thybulle, not Tyrese Maxey, my fault. Matisse Thybulle.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you, Nice or Jim, does 76ers have trouble scoring?
Not really, no. They score well.
So why would you trade a Matisse Thybulle who plays really good defensive, who's a lockdown defender, who can also shoot the three ball,
Mhm.
over Tim Hardaway, who's very inconsistent?
It's just stupid, yeah. Just be a dumb trade.
I wouldn't do it. He's a little bit inconsistent.
Agreed. Agreed. If I were Philly, I can understand trading for Korkmaz because he doesn't want to be on the team. So I can understand trading Korkmaz. But if I were the Sixers, I'm not trading Tybo. He's a very good on-ball defender, like you said. Could shoot the three ball himself. Thibault. Yeah, I'm keeping Thibault if I were Philadelphia.
Yeah, that's a move there. You don't want to you because you have Harden and Embiid, you also have others you on that team that could score with Tobias Harris. They got a big three there. You want to surround themselves with some wings, some wing defenders, and Thibault. Man, Hardaway, you're kind of getting another Tobias Harris kind of deal, a little more inconsistent.
Yeah,
I don't see how that works.
yeah.
Personally,
Agreed. And speaking of a team that hasn't found the pattern in the rainbow, the Chicago Bulls. You think Chicago's gonna try to blow up the ship here? Levine,
no.
you don't think so?
I have a feeling they're gonna make a move. I have a feeling if Van Fleet is available, they might make a move for Van Fleet on
Mhm.
that team, man. That let's face it, Ball, bro. I was one who wanted Alonzo Ball on this team on the Knicks. I'm gonna be the first one. I was like, oh, we should have traded for him. Years ago when for his bird rights, we could re-sign him. We didn't sign him. Long story short, good thing we dodged a bullet on that one. That one, I'm gonna be honest. Yeah, he Chicago needs a point guard now.
Agreed.
They need a point guard. They get a Van Fleet, not the nostalgic return from Derrick Rose. I don't think that's going to help put them over the top. But they get a Van Fleet, 28 years old, bring it on with that core. They could possibly be a 9-8 seed and probably win the play in and get into a post in a playoff series if they do that route.
Hmm. Right. Do you think the Atlanta Hawks are going to make any moves, especially when it comes to John Collins?
That's a good one, man, because they're right now at 500 at 27 and 27. Um,
27 and 28 right now, Atlanta.
27-28. They're one game under 500. Wow. They just fall one under. We're going to see them before we close the All Star break.
Hmm.
Um, man, that's going to be a tough one because John Collins, for some reason, ever since signing that contract extension, they look like they've been trying to move him. Like we all
Hmm.
hear reports that they don't want to move him. Um,
Hmm.
Let me ask you this: not, any thoughts of anywhere you think it's a landing spot for John Collins?
Um, a spot that I can see John Collins going. I could see John Collins at. I heard Phoenix is in there. I heard the Suns. He might go to the Suns. Another team that I think John Collins would fit nice is the Kings. I think it would fit nice with Sacramento. Um,
They have Sabonis currently right now, but I know Sabonis you can move him to the center, but hmm, unless if you Collins a three though, but is it
yeah,
Collins really a three? He's more like a power forward.
yeah, 3 or 4 though, because you have Harrison Barnes. You really have Harrison Barnes at the
Barnes,
4.
honestly, yeah, I don't know. You know which team I could see possibly John Collins in because they've been calling about him for the from the Knicks is the Pacers.
Mm,
Because the reason why I say Pacers because they've been calling the Knicks for Obi Toppin, and they're interested. They look that's telling me they're looking for a power forward,
mm,
and John Collins is something that with along with Miles Turner, and I don't know what Atlanta's going to get in return from Indiana. I know we were talking about earlier in the chat Turner going being moved after getting that contract extension, but
mm,
if they swing a deal for getting Collins, whatever they give, and they want to move Turner for Aiden, now you got a front court of Aiden with Collins along with Halliburton, Dwight there company. That's a pretty nice little nucleus there for Carlisle.
Mm-hmm.
mm. Right. You think right? Do you see either Denver? Because I see Bones Highlands in trade moves. You see either Denver, Memphis, or Sacramento making any moves?
Well, I mean that's nice. He's the resident Colorado native. You could hear a lot of sports media or your insiders from that area. What's the talk of Denver?
Man, Denver, in other words, the way that they see it is like they not rushing on nobody. Cause right now there's even players they the type of a team that they don't want to over talk or say more than what it is. But
True.
there's players behind the shadows already saying, "Oh, I would like to play with Joker," and you can't deny it. Like Denver is number one right now in their division. They don't need that much, and it's one of those that whoever is right and they start knocking the door, and they look at that player compared to the one that they have, and they feel like, all right, yeah, you have more than what the player that we have could actually offer. Yeah, let's do that trade. But
Right.
Denver at the same time is like they not in no rush for nothing.
True. True.
They
I
call they
heard.
called the they called the Knicks inquired about Obi Toppin.
Hmm.
Denver's one of the teams that called about Obi Toppin. Obi Toppin in Denver is, but I think they have that kind of player in Aaron Gordon.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. That would just be a bad trade if you're in the Nuggets right there. Yeah.
Yeah, but remember one thing. Denver is like, how can I say this? It's like one of those teams that they see something, they don't talk too much, and they let their player development actually accomplish what they trying to show in action. So whenever they start playing, I'm not gonna say like, oh yeah, he start playing for Denver, and by the next day you're gonna see it. No, it's a work in progress. It's one of those that they know is going to take like 20, 30 games for him to actually. They could actually show him what to actually do, and once he started incorporating it on the floor, people's gonna be like, "Wow, it wasn't even that bad."
All
Yeah.
right,
That's true. That's
I can
true.
see. Like they let
Uh,
their players develop and let them
yeah.
play out their full potential, which you got to respect that, especially with Luke with Joker. That guys, he's such a hell of a player that he elevates his teammates around him.
It does.
Hmm. Hmm.
Hmm.
That's something that you can't value. You can't put any stock on that. Absolutely. Let me, G Money. I know you were talking about Sacramento Kings. Now, Sacramento with De'Aaron Fox, alongside with he is second in the NBA with 119 go ahead points or critical points, just 1 point, point one behind Jalen Brunson, who's first in the NBA. What a difference a point guard made for Fox. For They have Sabonis, they have Barnes, they've got Davon Mitchell. They've got a nice team there.
Keegan
Um,
Murray.
Murray. What do you think Sacramento needs? Is more bench, 3 point scoring? What?
They have 3-point shooters with Malik Monk, Kevin Herter, Harrison Barnes. They already have 3-point shooting. I mean, they're one of the best 3-point shooting teams in the league. I think what Sacramento needs is a center. I think the Kings will need a center, though. I think Sacramento needs a center, a backup center, I should say. And maybe if you're the Kings, I'll probably get a backup four. But other than that, they need a backup four and a backup five. That's it.
Now let me ask you this. Remember you were talking about Jakob Porto being moved. Also, now that San Antonio has Desmond, that's another a possibility. Desmond's going to be a really nice play there that San Antonio jumped on and pounced, because I think they're going to repackage him or remove him, and they're going to get a better pick of what they gave Miami.
Right.
And I think a benefit from that, San Antonio wise, wherever they move him to. So Sacramento needs a center there. I know Nolan's Noel's names have come up, being moved for 76ers. I don't know if he fits this. That's a team that will fit well Sacramento, because he's not there for the offense. He's just got to match the paint and stay healthy. Along
Mhm.
and he doesn't play much minutes because
The
Sabonis is
Kings
going to
do
end up.
need defense. Yeah.
That'd be a nice pickup for if he's still the defensive king or defensive juggernaut that he was 2 years ago with the Knicks. We
Mhm.
haven't seen Nolan Zoel, so we don't know if he's still healthy or where's he at in his game. But if it's the same guy that they got that the Knicks had a couple years ago, could help Sacramento.
I agree. I agree. Because the Kings can rack up the points and they're very and they like to get in the transition, but the Kings lack rim protection. When we watch the Kings, so I think Sacramento getting a Nerds Noel can help. I, what about Memphis? I heard Desmond. I heard Dylan Brooks in trade rumors. You think Memphis needs to make a trade?
Wow, so they're gonna move from Dylan Brooks. See, I don't see too much of the Memphis
Dylan, no,
basketball.
Dylan Brooks. Dylan Brooks.
Dylan
Dylan Brooks.
Brooks. Dylan Brooks. Um, That's he's a small forward, right? A 3 and D.
Mhm.
And let's how much he makes.
Dylan, if you check Dylan's contract, Dylan Brooks makes about 11 million.
About, or is it a few? It's a
11
good
million,
like yeah.
11 million. Yeah, 11 million, yeah.
That's what is okay. So they want to get the 11 million off this books here. What does Memphis need in return?
If I were the Grizzlies, if I were Memphis, I will try to get maybe. Do you think they should consider getting a Gary Trent? Because Gary Trent, even though yes, they're both streaky, I get it, but Gary Trent is a better shooter. You think Gary Trent could help?
So
If you're
you're
the
sending
Grizzlies,
them. Wait. I think it would, but you're sending Gary Trent from the Raptors to
to the
Memphis.
Grizzlies, so I
Because
think
he's gonna get Dylan Brooks.
that's a decent trade.
Because Trent is going to be a free agent, is looking for a contract extension. How many more years? You see, these are the kind of questions the general managers. The reason I'm asking, that's the kind of questions they're going to ask for a team to make a trade or move like that. They want to know if they're going to get a player like Brooks back. How long am I going to have him on the team? So we're going to see enough time here. If he's going to be at the end of the season, unless a team is trying to make cap space, they won't want to make that move. So those are the type of questions. I like what Nick GM
Yeah,
meant here. He said,
Gary Trent is a player option next year, and he's an unrestricted free agent 2024.
"No, I know that Brooks. I need Brooks. I told you that he's looking for Gary Trent's looking for a new contract. He's
Oh,
going to get a new. He's going to get a new. He's not going to opt in. He's going to opt out for a new contract.
all right, give me some time, please.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me see. Thaddeus Young will be a cheaper for Memphis. That
Yeah, Brooks is a free agent after the season. Yeah.
okay. So now you're pretty much who's the bet now? Who's the better player in Memphis eyes? Why not stick with Brooks, where you're gonna have his own bird rights? You re-sign Brooks if you want him. You could sign and trade him, and you get something in return. Where Gary Trent, you might not have a sign and trade move, unless if it's all those type of things that the general managers ask or
Mhm.
do. It's easier. I know you could trade expiring deals, but there's got to be a benefit with some of these teams. Why would they want to trade? Not just to set up cap space, but to make moves later down the road. So I don't know if that will happen. Gary Trent trading with Memphis.
Mhm.
Never say never, but I doubt it I, um unless if you see like a Lakers looking for a Trent where they let
Mhm.
if he doesn't sign, I just I get cap relief, cap space. Usually times teams that get those need cap space. They need cap space, they need relief on their cap. Like a Golden State Warriors, they're over the cap. If they were
Mhm.
to get a Gary Trent or a Dylan Brooks when he leaves, well, if he doesn't sign with us, that's okay. That money comes off the books. We will send let's say a Wiseman who's making 8, 10 million, whatever, 12 million, and we get 12 million off our books. We get Trent for this year. Once he leaves at the end of the year, he's gone, and we get that contract off our
Right.
books. Oh, that's how those deals, those things good.
Is he's asking us, is Gary Harris a good pick for New York to get? What do you guys think? You think New York should go after Gary Harris? I don't know.
If I'm Gary Harris from Orlando, I'd rather have Terrence Ross.
Mm.
He had a DNP. He did not play, but again, Terrence Ross is underman. He's short. See,
Mhm.
I like these players, but I want players with height and size.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
Mhm.
hate I hate when we play the Raptors, the Cavaliers, who teams are taller than us. They out rebound us or they shoot over our heads, and we're like,
Mhm.
it gets a little bit annoying. We want to have some size. I was mentioning earlier, guys. I would have loved to get if we could in a perfect world to move Cam Reddish or whoever, or get yourself a player like a 6'10", 6'11" kind of guy. Kind of like the Porzingis, Jonathan Isaac type of player. That tall guy who, if you go up against a 6'8", 6'9" power forward or small forward, he could still have two height advantage to shoot over and get a better shot at the basket because of the height advantage. That the Laurie Marketing. I would have, but that player is not out there this year for the Knicks to acquire in the trade deadline with any skill set or value that we could get. That's the type of player they really need. And I know Jakes Gem says Vanderbilt. I know you're telling me Vanderbilt, the Knicks, but I don't know if they're going to trade with Utah. That's why I don't keep bringing up Vanderbilt. One
Yeah,
and
they're
that
not gonna do that.
you never know. Because I think Utah wants to add Malik Beasley with him, and I don't think the Knicks have any interest in bringing both back.
Hmm.
So we shall see there. Any other? Let me ask you this real quick. Any surprise name that we don't think is going to get traded gets traded? Like, give me a wild one.
Whew. I don't think they'll get traded, but I'm gonna give you a surprise name. RJ Barrett. RJ Barrett.
Okay, nice. Any name
Cam
like?
Reddish, but it's not no surprise.
All right, all right. I got a name that no one thinks about, and we saw him. We saw him yesterday play. Jalen Suggs. It wouldn't
Mm.
surprise me if Orlando, after second year with Jalen Suggs, moves him. Um, I wouldn't be surprised that because that's just a surprise name. That it's not going to happen, folks. I'm just saying that as a surprise. Wouldn't be surprised if we say, "Oh, Orlando moved Jalen Suggs to for Van Fleet," because they're Orlando wants to actually go for it. Believe it or not, they're only 3 games. Well, they lost last night, so they're about 3.5 games out of the final wild card playing. But they've been one of the better teams since December 5th. They
Mhm.
were, I believe, they were
East from that time, yeah.
17 and 16. They're 1 game over 500 after starting 5 and 19. So they've been playing extremely well. Orlando. They look like they want to go into that because Marquise Folk has taken his game to another level. Actually, push Suggs into the bench, and they kind of see he's a good defender, but he's kind of undersized now coming out of Orlando. And I wouldn't be surprised if they try to move him going forward.
Very possible. Very possible.
I
I
don't. I
mean,
don't think they're gonna change. They're gonna move him.
No, but that's a wild one. That's why I said a
Yeah,
wild pick there or a surprise one.
because
mhm.
how old is he? He's like 21, 22, or something like that.
Well,
So
Jalen Suggs.
22,
Well,
I believe.
Jalen Suggs. He is 21.
yeah, he's too young, and especially like nobody is like he's good. He's good. The only thing is that for the time being, Orlando is a young team. They still trying to figure it out. But for a team that's is trying to figure it out, they have a lot of good pieces in their end. So if they don't get hasty with it, it's one of those that it's just a matter of time for it to start clicking.
Hmm.
They do have RJ Hampton as well, who did not play, by the way, coach's decision. RJ Hampton is
Hmm.
healthy, did not play, coach's decision. Also Terrence Ross, which I thought when that game was a little sluggish yesterday, because I was at the game last night. If the game was a little sluggish, I'm go, man, please in the third quarter don't put in Terrence Ross because he always tends to go nuts on the Knicks for some reason. You know, yeah, he does play well against the Knicks. Not much RJ Hampton. RJ Hampton isn't does he doesn't go too much on the Knicks. But I was worried that the game was so close, or the Knicks were trying to climb back slowly. And I go, man, if they put Terrence Ross, they could easily extend that. But they must really want to go fully youth movement, or they're thinking about, or they have possibly a deal in the mind for both Terrence Ross and others. Salute Mikey Maz in the building. Salute Fortune Express. And I don't know, maybe that's why they didn't play coach's decision, but he usually plays. But Orlando has a good one. Both Wagner brothers, Franz and Mo, play extremely well for that team. Wendell Carter this season has played above and beyond his
He's played
expectations
well.
extremely well. Actually forces Mo Bamba to be out of the rotation or not too much favorable by the organization because Bobo has played extremely well for the Magic, getting some time at there who's been really extremely well for the Magic. They're pleasantly surprised or very thankful they got him on the team. He's been coming along well on the good coaching, and Mo Bamba might be expendable as well. They're not going to sign him in the offseason, so they're going to try to see the move. Who, like you were talking about, G Money, Mo Bamba, Sacramento.
Hmm.
That's another one that could be moved out there.
Hmm.
If they wanted to go. move him out there. So it'll be interesting.
He could stroke like water from downtown. And yeah, and even Darrell Davis said a good point. Crazy Eye Bobby Portis. What do you think? Even Chris Middleton too. You got to put him in there.
To be moved.
Yeah, potentially. I'm not saying you're gonna trade him. I'm saying potentially.
Hey, when any nothing will surprise me because maybe the Bucks organization. I'm glad we mentioned that. Thanks, Darnell, for bringing that on the Bucks. We'll talk a bit about the Bucks now. Now the Bucks 2 years removed from a world title. Do they think
Mhm.
that they're gonna that's the most they'll get from this team? And maybe while the ceiling is high on Portis, Middleton, can they move them and try to get something to kind of reload, retool without rebuilding?
I mean, it's a possibility. I don't think they will make much trades. I think the Bucks just need a backup two guard. I think Milwaukee needs a backup two. Hang on, everybody.
What about Josh Hart? Josh Hart. We were talking about that earlier. We were talking, Josh Hart for the Knicks, and he's been having a good game. If Portland is really thinking about moving him, Josh Hart as a backup two to the Bucks. I know, but which be sounds crazy there, but you put that there, that might be something to think about.
Hmm.
Who could Portland get? What the Portland Blazers Trailblazers need in return? Do they need a power forward like a Bobby Portis to go west? If they're willing to move him and so forth. It'd be interesting there. We'll wait for Gideon to return.
Yeah, it will be interesting. But the thing is that I'm a little bit too done with anybody smaller than a 6'6". I want somebody at least be like 6'7", 6'8", and is one of those 3 and D. That somebody that could actually defend, not only shoot. Because just like I just mentioned earlier, there's a lot of players that once they're in a certain team, they do certain things. But once they get to the Knicks, I'm telling you, the pressure is differently over here. So once certain players get to the Knicks and they see the spotlight, all that light, all like that pressure sinks in. So I want somebody that at least can play defense. That whenever they forget how to shoot that night, well, let me just play defense because I'm known for this, and at least he's helping out in that end.
Yes, we need two small forwards at 6'8" or better. Yeah, yeah. Like you said, Vanderbilt will be one. I don't know if he's a small forward. Knicks, he's probably is. Well, no, he was mentioned to be a center, power forward. But we get a small forward. Will be ideal. I know OG Anunoby's the name, the darling out there. I know me and G Money both like Sadiq Bey as well, for that kind of role. It's cheaper and costs less. Might not be the same player as an OG Anunoby, but in this system, Mali, you're probably gonna get the same level of ceiling when either one on there, but we'll see there.
And I know I want somebody that's not like beside KD, but I would like to see him in the Knicks. It's not going to be cheap though, but that one is Jeremy Grant.
Me too. I love Jeremy Grant.
Because that cat he could defend. You don't have a
Fact.
problem with him defending. You don't have a problem with him shooting.
Hmm.
So Jeremy Grant is one of those players that if he comes into the next man, to Coach Thibodeau, man, he's gonna love that cat because that's
Fast.
what he loves. We can't keep on relying only on certain players that all right he has length and he's known for shooting because that's not what Coach Thibodeau is looking for. He's looking for defense as well.
Right, and I'm surprised when he was available by Detroit, Knicks didn't come asking for that, or
Yeah.
didn't go inquiring, especially the relationship that the Knicks and the Detroit front office has, because they've been pulling a lot of moves on working together in so long, in so many, a couple seasons in a row now, from all the way from Derrick Rose to last season, sending Alec Burks and so forth. That I'm surprised that Jeremy Grant, or maybe the asking price was too rich that Portland, or they wanted was something for Portland that the Knicks didn't have. I'm surprised because Grant would have, like you said, would have been a good pick. He's a Tom Thibodeau guy who could have played the three position, who could defend, who could rebound, who could score, he could shoot the basket. I'm surprised that they never had anything wasn't serious with the Knicks and Detroit about that.
Yeah.
because he looked like when he was available, they shipped him to Portland immediately. No ifs, ands, or buts.
Mm-hmm. And he's been good for Portland. He can lock you up. He's also can stroke it from three, can hit the mid range. Remember Jeremy Grant baked the Knicks in MSG last time, and Jeremy Grant can finish at the rim too. So I will not. I don't think I will not mind Jeremy Grant on this Knicks team. I will not mind him.
I don't think that's gonna happen either. That was supposed to happen with Detroit. I think he's locked in with Lillard. You built with him,
Mm-hmm.
Lillard, Grant. You they might move like we were talking about. Josh Hart possibly be moved. Jose Melo mentioned it earlier. Josh Hart to the Knicks, possibly, or I even say the Bucks. Bucks could use that shooter. Out there to shoot. He's averaging almost 9 points a game for the what you call it, the Portland Trailblazers, and also averaging 8 rebounds. So he also helps out on the rebounds with Giannis stretching the floor. They like Milwaukee likes to have winged shooters, guys who can shoot the three, especially when they want to stretch it,
Mm-hmm.
especially with center Brook Lopez and so forth. Josh Hart will be an asset that they can use there if they were to move that. If Middleton isn't, because also Middleton's health. When is he returning? Is he returning this soon, or what's the deal?
Middleton came back though. Middleton came back. It just he's been in and out of the lineup though.
I
They're not
I I see Portland Blazers moving away from Grant.
this
That's
year.
It might not be this year, it might be
Okay,
next year, but
okay.
it's one of those because they have Dame Lillard, and obviously it doesn't seem like it's helping because they in the 12th seed on their end, and it's like one of those that they know that they have a superstar in their roster. So with him and Jeremy Grant, yeah, Jeremy Grant is a great player, but it's one of those that for some reason it's not connected. Something is not connecting there, So that's why I'm saying like they might move away from Jeremy Grant because they know that their time is ticking, and with Dame Lillard, you only got 2 to 3 more extra years. That's about it. There's so
Right,
many new youth coming up, and they making noise. They are being loud, and it's the new youth. The new youth is already holding a ceremony for the old timers. All right, in 2 or 3 years, that's it. Your time is up. You know, so that's why I keep on saying that for Portland Blazers, that's not far. It might be one of those that they already like. Hey, we only got 2 to 3 more years to push. So if
Mm-hmm.
that's not it, let's just move away from him. But we
and they
love the
current.
way you play. Uh-huh.
No, I was gonna say they currently sit 12th in the Western Conference. They're half a game out of the play-in tournament, and they're a couple. They're what 3 games? No, 2 games out of being the number 8 seed, hosting the play-in game. So that's from anywhere from the Mavericks, who's at 6, Warriors, Pelicans, Timberwolves, Jazz, Thunder, Blazers, Lakers, they all bunch up. You could
Yeah.
jockey anywhere from 6. Actually, you could even throw the Phoenix Suns and the Clippers. You know,
Mm-hmm.
they all crunch up there from 4. You could be anywhere from 4 or out of the whole tournament with a bad stretch of weeks.
Even
So
Kings
those,
too. You have to Sacramento in there
yeah,
too. Yeah.
You
yes,
you know what makes it even worse? That they in that position, and Jeremy Grant is looking for money next year.
Mm-hmm.
So that's even more power to it because what do you think that the general management in their end they not thinking like, hey, we got to pay this cat, and we sitting as of right now in the 12th seed. Is he it? You know what I mean? It might be one of those that they're gonna be like, something. We appreciate having you in our team, but you're not it. So we got to trade you for more assets.
Mm-hmm.
uh,
Right.
we shall see there. At least one thing I like about this, the Knicks are currently tied for 6, but we know they have the percentage point. But they got a 2.5 game lead on the Hawks for 8th. They have some cushion there. Brooklyn is
Mm-hmm.
only 3 games away from the Knicks, but Brooklyn just got their trade. They're in a 2-game losing streak. They got to get their players acclimated. Can the Knicks be sneaky and climb up before these last few games? They got the Philadelphia tough game on Friday against the Philadelphia 76ers, back to back to Utah. Then they play Brooklyn head to head. They could gain a game on them before they play the Hawks and get some more distance
Mm-hmm.
on the Hawks for that So Knicks got before the All Star break, they got some sleep. They got to roll up their sleeves there, and if they continue to play good basketball and win, they could actually help themselves in with 25, close to 25 games left in the season. They could really cement themselves going into the All Star game and possibly before the trade. Trade, get some reinforcement, take care of business, and we're going to be in pretty good shape. Getting Mitchell Robinson back healthy, one.
Mhm.
If you go out there, let's say you win one of the two games between Utah and 76ers. Let's say you win one of those two, you take care of business against Brooklyn and beat the Hawks, then you go in the break feeling good. You're relative. Even if they lose every game from here on out, they're going to be a 500 team going into the All Star break. That's a good thing.
Right.
That's a really good thing. And if you get some reinforcements, tinker. You don't have to make wholesale moves to hurt yourself. But fifth seed is not something to say that it's not out of the reach for the New York Knicks.
Mm.
Hmm.
And the way everything is clicking,
Yeah,
it took a while, but it's clicking. I wouldn't find it surprising if we land in the fourth seed again.
I
I
mean, New
hope we
York is only 4 games back. I mean, they're not too far back. I don't. New York is only 4 games behind Cleveland. Yeah.
Yeah.
you never know. An injury from Cleveland, the bigs, or they come out sluggish coming off the All Star. They don't hit. The Knicks catch a couple breaks here, win a couple games there. They're fighting in there at the end of the season, fourth seed possible. They could be a possibility there because they've been playing more together as a team. They're resilient. They don't get blown out. Believe it or
Mhm.
not, they're 27th around 27th in 3-point efficiency, but they score. They're top 10 in scoring. They could score the basketball.
Because they could get to the hole. Yeah.
Jarvis LaFleur, salute Jarvis,
Salute
salute.
Jarvis. Salute Jarvis. Salute Jarvis. And even if you look at 10 through 12, you have Indiana, Toronto, Washington tied for 10 right now. So, because look at that.
Yeah, that's the problem. The good thing is we don't want to be in those positions. And I understand we
Yeah.
could be in a couple losing streak and we could just fall. We could free fall out. But the way they've been playing, they're in every type. They're in every game. They don't get blown out. There is sometimes a single possession. The last real big monster blowout, I believe, was back in December when they
Against
lost.
Dallas.
That's it. Really, every game they've been close. They either one possession away in the fourth quarter. Things,
Mhm.
the Philadelphia game, they got a little carried away in the Christmas, whatever the case is. But the
Mhm.
point is that they're a couple runs away. Coaching change, a little bit of a coach adjustment, players adjustment, or a key play here there, and also they're winning these close games. Jalen Brunson is 120 plus points in those closeout points. That's leads the NBA. They're learning how to win basketball games. And they're not just we're there, we were so close, damn it. They're not doing the moral victories. They're actually winning them, and
Yeah.
now that goes a long way for playoff basketball.
And New York, and another thing too, the Knicks are 16-14 in the clutch, so they are getting better in the clutch.
Mm-hmm. But you just said it all, BX, because man, the way that we see in the Knicks, it's not the usual Knicks that hey they come. We are normally always at the lead and blowing it up at fourth quarter for some
Mhm.
reason, and now it's the other way around. That if you notice the fourth quarter, it's like they finding an extra gas tank
Mhm.
when they need it. Because
Mhm.
that's when they start really pushing. You don't see them pushing the first quarter. You don't see them pushing the second. The third,
Mhm.
just a little bit. But that fourth quarter, it's like they playing possessed. They
Mhm.
playing like, you know something? Now we playing.
Mhm.
Yeah, we were saving up all this tank just for now. And,
That
and,
is
and,
true.
and that team that they up against, it's like that's what they need to beat a team like the Knicks. Is that extra tank that for some reason it seems like the New York Knicks has it.
True. That's true. And what I love about this Knicks team, why I love why this New York team is turning things around. Also, even another thing too, even Tibbs made the proper adjustments. Tibbs is now starting to make the proper adjustments, using lines of players like Hartenstein. I thought he played Obi some minutes last night. I thought Tibbs did a good job making some proper adjustments last night, and I love how he did mix and match with Sims and Hartenstein and etc. Though, yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna.
So
I'm gonna piggyback off of that real quick. We're talking about, and also nice you said that second level that we're talking about, that extra boost in the fourth quarter.
Mm-hmm.
What's happening is that the second unit has come lately now, has been flourishing
Mhm.
better. They're more
Mm-hmm.
comfortable. They're playing much more better on the second unit in that fourth quarter. A lot of times it's being led by the second unit
Mm-hmm.
for first, and always said it since last season. When our second unit is on, we're one of the best second units in all the NBA. They're not there
Mhm.
as last year's second unit. Last year, I felt they were a much more better second unit than this season.
Mm-hmm.
But the pedigree is still there. So they're now this part of it now coming forward for the remainder of the 20 plus games that we have in the season. If the second unit becomes that second unit of last year, more comfortable, more together, and start playing well and becoming a now it's going to take teams 48 minutes to play the Knicks, which remember they're still top. G Money, check the offensive Knicks in scoring. I believe they're top nine, or maybe they might be six. I might be wrong. I might be underselling them. They might be the sixth best scoring
Are you talking about scoring over?
scoring altogether in the NBA. I think the Knicks are in the top. They're in
Well,
the top.
when I checked, the Knicks were when I checked, New York was like 18th in scoring. That's
No,
when
they're
I
not.
checked.
No, they're not. No, they're not. I could bet you. I could bet you they're not. They're not. They're 19 in defense, but not
No,
not in scoring.
in scoring, let me see.
Double check.
One,
Double check.
two, three. Yeah, I'm checking right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. I'm checking. We're 18th in scoring.
I'm gonna. Which site you using?
I'm ESPN site,
NBA,
ESPN.com site. You go to NBA, click on stats.
NBA scoring team.
Yeah, we average 114 points per game. New York, but we're 18th. Sacramento leads the league in scoring 119. Golden State's number two.
Okay. Uh, I thought they were better. I'm still gonna fall on that sword. I'm gonna go with NBA stats because I don't trust
Mm-hmm.
NBA. Yeah, I don't trust the ESPN one. And I forgot this website that I use. NBA scoring teams. Well, the point is, if they're scoring better, start increasing their benching and shoot more efficiently from 3 point range. You're playing a
Mhm.
48-minute game against other. Remember, a lot of other teams' bench are not that strong.
It's
As
true.
the season gets longer, the bench starts shrinking. Now, if the
Mhm.
Knicks already been playing with 9 man rotation and nothing is hurting them, they have an advantage of the other teams who's going to be downsizing,
Yeah.
and they're going to be better condition wise
Yeah.
against teams who's going to be playing little, expending more minutes. So, yeah, the efficiency is top 10. There it is because of less possession per
Oh, you
team.
talk about efficiency. I thought you talk about points per game. My fault. My fault.
No, no efficiency.
Oh, my fault. I wasn't paying attention. My fault.
So the
But
all right.
yes,
Uh-huh. No, you good. You good, big.
no, no, good, good. Go ahead, go ahead. I'm looking. I'm looking at some stats here.
So I understand that a lot of people they don't want KD, and I'm on that train. But at the same time, we got to see the contract that we have. Jalen Brunson is a contract for the next 3 years, right?
Yeah.
Julius
Yeah, I just
Randle
got
is
him.
in contract for the next 3 years as well, right?
No, no, yeah.
KD contract is up till 3 more years.
Hmm.
So it's a great thing. As much as yes, I understand that there's also many people that they don't want to see KD in a team like this. You can't take it away from him, man. Like that cat has talent. It's the same narrative with Donovan Mitchell and the dude that went to ATL. I wanted both of
Shante
them.
Murray.
Murray.
Exactly. I wanted both of them. You don't know how much I was riling up saying like, hey, we need a player. Oh yeah, but he's too short. Yeah, but we're not talking about like when you talking about Donovan Mitchell, I'm not contradicting myself by saying what I said like a couple minutes before that I would like to see somebody at least 6'8" or taller. Donovan Mitchell, he's a different breed. He has talent. Yeah, he's short, but he has talent. Whenever he needs to drive down the basket and make those shots, look at Jalen Brunson. There's a defender guarding him maybe twice his size, and of course that's me exaggerating, but he always finds a way. That is Donovan Mitchell. That is the dude that went to ATL. That's another thing that I actually liked from him is his defense.
Mhm.
We
Yeah,
can,
DeJounte Murray. Yeah.
yeah, we cannot keep on rooting for certain players. That is not a great match with Coach Thibodeau, because look what happened.
Mhm.
The front office got him Evan Fournier. I'm not saying that Evan Fournier is bad, but we cannot lead with something that initially hasn't clicked and just expecting it to click further on, because Coach Thibodeau, he's like he only has like 5 or 6 more years. This is what I'm thinking. Coach Thibodeau, he's not thinking about continue to coach for his entire life because he's already up there. He's a little bit in the late side. So I want that. Hey, whatever Coach Thibodeau wants, give it to him. Don't start nitpicking, but we do think that it's going to work out. No, if Coach Thibodeau doesn't want it, doesn't want it. It is what it is.
Mhm.
Hmm. Well, there's a lot of saying that might be the last year of Thibodeau as a Knicks head coach.
Not the way
Um,
you look at.
that's another question. That's another debate to be answered there. But here's the thing: we Coach Thibodeau, you love and hate him because do we dislike sometimes his rotation? Absolutely. Is there a method behind his madness? It is, but do we know it? Not really. Um, do we like the way he's utilizing Obi Toppin? Personally, me personally, no. Would I like to see Cam Reddish play
Mhm.
more? I would. But at the end of the day, the damn guy is making us win, like it or not. As much as we hate to, we'd love to. Personally, I would love to see a head coach who play our favorites and they win and go out and be top. Find the next Eric Spoelstra. But man, that's a tough one.
So, BX, based on what you just said, remember one thing. As much as Coach Thibodeau, he loves all his players with him. It's just one of those that he's not going to continue to be taking hits from nobody. Like you remember, like 2 games prior to this one, I'm talking about the Clippers. The
Mhm.
Clippers, he called out and he said it to all the players. Hey, whoever gets the ball, foul him. And you know who actually was the bigger man and took responsibility was Jalen Brunson. Who
Mhm.
knows if from the start he has told certain players to do one thing, they do other things, and we keep on blaming Coach Thibodeau. Jalen Brunson, he was a bigger person, and he said, like, no, Coach Thibodeau, he called it, and I didn't foul them. I thought that I had him, and that's much respect towards him. But at the same time, that's the main reason I keep on saying that you got to get players that fits with Coach Thibodeau's system,
It's
because
true.
it's going to be one of those. Look at Cam Reddish. Where's Cam Reddish?
Eating Pop Tarts and drinking Kool Aid.
I'm glad you mentioned that. I wanted to bring that. That's another topic I wanted to bring up here. We all hear the reports that came out. Cam Reddish was vocal to his assistant coaches on the team, on the staff, asked that he wanted a better role or wanted these more offensive touches on the offense, on the team. And he just told his head coach, not his head coach, his coaches, listen, any chance you can talk to coach, man, I would like to get more. I don't know how he would said it. I'm just saying it nice. He probably was a jerk about it. He probably was disrespectful about it. Or maybe he was bashing the coach, said it in a negative way, or whatever the case. Well, no, we don't know. We don't know that. There's 3 sides to the story. There's Cam's side, Nick's office side, and there's the truth.
Yeah.
Somewhere in between is the middle. Now,
Mhm.
if that's the case, and if let's say we'll go Reddish's side of the story,
Mm-hmm.
what's the trust you have on the coaching staff that if you're a player voicing your opinion or asking for help, and you're gonna feel backstabbed there? With
I
Reddish,
wouldn't. I wouldn't play him. I'm dead serious. Like it's one of those, especially having a military background. It's just one of those that you don't get everything that you want. You there for a purpose. Your main thing or your your main way of thinking is what can I do, Coach Sib, to help the team win? What can I do in my power It's not what you want. Oh, I want a better role. Everybody in the NBA wants a better role. But at the end of the day, if you're not contributing to make a better team, because remember, we do not win games just because of one person. If Stephen Curry did not have Clay Thompson, Green,
Draymond Green, Andrew Bogut, Andre
all
Iguodala.
all them, even KD in one point,
Mm-hmm.
they wouldn't even beat certain teams in front of them.
It's true.
That's why if Cam Reddish is another one, hey, I hope he's listening. But that's why I keep on saying you never know who's listening, who's not. But Cam Reddish just go to Coach Shape. Hey, you know something? It's my bad. My bad. I'm sorry. Like maybe I just didn't said what I wanted to truly said, and I thought about it. And my my main thing is what can I do to help the team? Something like that. You know how good even Coach Thibodeau, he's going to take it or an approach it. You know something? I wasn't thinking about playing you, but just for that, you'll play 30 seconds. Man, 30 seconds is more than enough because
It's true.
what you're getting right now, you ain't getting nothing. And this, how many players have you seen with the Knicks that they haven't played the whole game, but they have seen 30 seconds or 45 seconds? And based on those 30 to 45 seconds, with what they shown to Coach Thibodeau, now their minutes has increased.
I'm glad you mentioned that because I wanted to bring this also that topic was one thing whenever you hear Coach Thibodeau have a conversation, talk and say about players that are not playing, who's not Fournier, Reddish, so forth. He's always saying, well, that's just why you always got to be ready. That's why I tell people get ready, be ready when I call you to be ready. Have that time when. And one thing I gotta say that's making and I love Cam Reddish. Everybody knows that. I know Frank Matos was here a little earlier. I always say Reddish to New York with Zion and RJ. That whole ship. And I was big. I was hammed up when he came to the Knicks last year. I was so excited, and I like Cam Reddish. But here's the thing that I'm going to make with Reddish, and what makes him look bad is whenever Fournier gets the tap on his shoulder to come play, and he hasn't played for a while, and he dropped 17 points the other night, and he's
Mm-hmm.
playing, and you know that Evan Fournier does not play good defense. That's why he's in the
No.
rotation, and he's there and he's contributing, and he's
Mm-hmm.
out there busting his ass, and I hate to start, excuse my French, folks, and he's out there busting his rear end and playing hard, and that doesn't look on Cam Reddish good on Cam Reddish or his camp. And this is the thing
Right.
is, and here's another strike. It happened in Atlanta also.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That's why he's
Right.
not in Atlanta, and he was moved at a young, without even getting not even getting a second contract. In the middle of us, they could that weren't paying him peanuts.
Mm-hmm.
That's a strike on Cam Reddish as a player, and I hate to say it, I love Cam Reddish. Again, I am a big fan. I still am, and even where he goes, I'm still going to keep an eye on his career. I like Cam Reddish. I don't know. There's something about the way he plays, his length, and the way he shoots that there's something there in NBA. You can't
Oh
teach it.
yeah.
That's why I like, there's something there, but I don't know if
Right.
we can put it together.
Right. One
There's a
thing
trade I
too.
find out.
Yeah. NBA breaking news. Dun, 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 dun. Russell Westbrook just got swapped away from Hollywood. The Lakers got D'Lo, Malik Beasley, Jared Vanderbilt. The Jazz got Russ, but they're gonna buy out Westbrook. Got Toscano Anderson, Damian Jones, a first-round pick that's going to the Jazz. The T-Wolves got Mike Conley, Nikhil Alexander Walker, and 3 second-round picks. Wow,
Yep, we mentioned that. We were talking about that earlier, and it came
I
out
was
while we were on
wrong.
the air. Yeah, I told you Westbrook was going to get it. Daniel Davis, that's why we didn't get too far. Stubborn coach who should bond with players. Absolutely. That's another one, too. And Mr. Johnny Davis, our number one draft pick in the building. Salute. So Lakers won that trade. Knicks talk. Absolutely.
Oh yeah,
The link is in the chat. If anyone wants to join us real quick, we'll have a freestyle here on the Return to the Knicks podcast. Have a conversation there. The link is in the chat for anyone that wants to come on stream on with myself, nice, and and talk about here. We're the eve of the trading deadline. We'll have a trading deadline special tomorrow around 3:30, probably possibly 3 o'clock if I get home early from work. I know I'll be home by then, but I'll definitely come on a half hour earlier. And now we'll give a full hour until 4:30 until all the trades are comes through and we'll breaking some trades like we did tonight. Actually the second of the trades, ice is broken after the Kyrie. Now the Lakers make a move. Let me see. I think Lakers got better, folks.
Oh
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
Much better. And I still don't think they'll be done. I still think they'll move. They'll make another move.
Hmm.
possible.
The only thing that comes across my mind is that, man, we seen Coach Thibodeau being a great coach. We seen him doing it in Chicago Bulls. We seen it happen it also in, what was it, in
Minnesota.
Minnesota.
Mhm.
And it's one of those that it's not only the coach problem. The thing is that a lot of players they want to be pampered.
Mhm.
We living in a generation that is not about what the coach wants, it's not what the team wants, it's what I want. And you got to do it, or I'll ask for a trade.
Right. And unfortunately, that's what's hurting him because they want him to adapt. And you know
Yeah,
what? And then the thing is, everybody starts to one of the it helps Thibodeau and it hurts the Thibodeau at the same time.
yeah,
Oxymoron, because they point the finger on Tom Coughlin. If you're a
Mhm.
Giant fan, you saw Tom Coughlin had that rigid and that rugged personality, and they told him to lighten up, make it change his style, change a little bit. And when he did give in a little to the players' needs, the Giants end up winning two. I know two different sports, I get it, but the Giants end up winning two Super Bowls. Maybe that's maybe why they want. Maybe that's why he overstayed his welcome in Chicago with Jerry Reinsdorf, whatever the case, and Minnesota. Remember, Minnesota brought him to be team president, and they just from team president from to head coach. They even got him one of the successful coach in Minnesota franchise history, getting that team to the playoffs.
Oh,
Make
Chris Finch, yeah.
no, I'm talking about Tom Thibodeau when he was
yeah.
president.
Yes, I'm all mindful, mindful. Okay.
He left a strong imprint, but they couldn't stand and wanted to get him out of there. There's something with his personality. He's such a basketball lifer. He immersed himself so much in basketball, and I think what um contradicts him or makes him rugged is he expects all of us to be the same way. It's like, for instance, I'm not, and it's a different comparison, but I like to do my podcasting, and I like to do this way in my podcast. And if you like, and if you come and you come as my guest as my podcast, oh, but you didn't put a green screen up, you didn't do this, and and that comes rigid. Why am I going to go on your show then? You want a green screen? You want all this crap? I'm just using it as an example.
I get,
Mhm.
I
So
get.
and that's why maybe that's how Tom Thibodeau comes around. Instead of say, hey, you know what? You want me to get a green screen? Like, hey, man, listen, I want you to join me. I'm gonna buy you. I'm gonna send you a green screen. I'm gonna buy you a green screen. Yeah, put it up, and or give you a nice Nick banner. You put up when you come on. It'll look dope. You see
Uh,
the difference of saying, yo, you got to get a green screen to come on my show. I can't have you without. You know what I mean? You see the
yeah,
difference?
yeah. No, I see, I
Mhm.
see. But
I got,
I'll
I got
I'll take it even a step further. I don't think that's a problem. I think that the problem is that based on Coach Thibodeau's success in a short time frame, nobody expected that year one Coach Thibodeau would have taken us to the fourth seed. Nobody,
nobody.
nobody.
No.
Right.
But it's one of those that once they start seeing it, whoever is under him, whoever's on top, like above him, now they thinking, I want a little bit credit too. I want to say like I helped them do that. Like you can't like listen. As much as you want to take credit, help Coach Thibodeau. Don't be acting like just because he has success. Oh, we could make that happen. Don't worry, we could do this, we could do that because we've seen it with Chicago, with Phil Jackson. Phil Jackson wanted one way, the owner wanted, or not the owner, but the person
Mhm.
below the owner, he wanted
Okay.
another way to prove a point. You cannot prove a point when there's people that has that type of mindset. Help him. All right, if you have some 2 cents that you want to put in there, hey, Coach Thibodeau, we thinking about bringing this cat in. What do you think? And go on from there. But what happened in year two? They ain't told Coach Thibodeau about Evan Fournier. He even told them since
Agreed.
get-go, I don't want Evan Fournier. I don't want Campbell. Oh, guess what? You still getting him.
Yeah, I didn't listen to him.
And right there, this is what people need to understand. Right there is so effing disrespectful
It is.
that as an organization, as a coach, I took this organization to the 4th seed, and you guys pooped on whatever I actually wanted just because you wanted to show out, trying to show out in a way or another that, oh, I'm wrong if I get you Evan Fournier and Kemba, and it actually worked out. It didn't. Newsflash, it did not work.
It failed miserably. Kemba didn't even play in the second half of the season after All-Star break.
Right.
I mean, in fact, the Knicks starting five had one of the worst plus minus in the league. Do you know how many times our bench had to carry us from we were down 20 plus, 15? Come on. Our bench was the reason why we were even in those games.
And people wanted to complain, saying that it's Coach Thibodeau's fault. Listen,
it's everyone's fault. Everybody
had a fault.
No. He wanted to keep up Bullock. We let him walk away.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted to keep, in some way, in a weird way, he wanted to keep EP. They let him walk. Because people are so stuck on scoring that they don't see other factors that other players could actually do on the floor.
Rebound, passing, steals, yeah.
And in defense,
blocks.
Nobody could argue EP is at that time he was a great player defending.
He was a good defender, yeah.
And people, just because he's not making 10 points. Yeah, I don't even care if he doesn't make 10 points. It's average. Yeah, in order for him to take, let's say, make 20, he got to be a volume shooter. I don't want to see that. Just defend. But people were stuck in their way, saying like, "Hey, I want EP out." What do you think? That the front office they don't hear the fans? They hear the fans,
but they don't listen.
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask this about that. Payton, what do you think we have in Miles McBride right now? We have a younger, cheaper Alfred Payton right now, with room to grow.
I think it's even more. No. I think like we talking about Deuce, right?
Deuce McBride.
Yeah, Deuce. Nah, we got something special with Deuce, but it's one of those that we just got to give him time to because now he's looking even more comfortable. Back then,
he's giving us what Alfred Payton did in that We Heal season.
Mm-hmm.
The Bing Bong 4 season, yeah.
The defense. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying the offense because Alfred Payton did lead the Magic with triple doubles. He has their whole franchise.
He played with the Pelicans too, yeah.
Right. But the point is, the Alfred Payton that we got at the end of, because put it this way, what makes that argument even more definite, he didn't sniff court time with the Suns. G Money, you're a Suns fan. That's your second team. You've seen it. He didn't sniff a lot of playing time.
He barely played for Phoenix at all.
Right. So he really didn't make an impact where they could have used his defense on that Phoenix Suns. They didn't play him.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But think about it this way. That same year that we had EP, that a lot of people complained about EP, they did not focus on Julius Randle. Julius Randle had his best season with EP.
Crazy.
Which is
next season hits, everybody's criticizing Julius Randle, and you don't have nobody that could bring up the ball beside Julius Randle.
That's crazy. We had no point guard.
But everybody wanted to criticize Julius Randle. That is insane. That's why I always said, listen, I'm not saying EP was one of the best at point guard.
But he was serviceable.
But Julius Randle could have managed with EP. And
Agreed.
if he managed with EP, I want to wait on my criticism on Julius Randle until I see a solidified point guard or somebody at least a little bit better than EP.
Right.
No, Julius Randle, he's selfish, he's this, he's that. Listen. Let's just think about one thing. He had EP. Now he has Kemba. Kemba can't even keep up. There has been many times I've seen the game. Kemba screaming for help. Julius Randle was always the closest one. Mm-hmm. So the guy that Julius Randle was defending, now he left him wide open to defend Kemba Walker guy, and that dude passes to the dude that Julius Randle was previously defending.
Trace.
How?
Just wrong. Yeah, for me, last year, to me, it was everybody's fault. The front office, for me, here's the front office is the number one blame. Letting go of Reggie Bullock was dumb, and Alfred Payne was kind of dumb. Two, the players themselves. The players didn't execute on the floor. And three, and again, I'm not trying to kill Tips, but there were times he's trying to overplay his guys sometimes. Tips. So to me, it's everyone. The front office, number one. Players, number two. Coaching staff, number three.
It wasn't. Let me just say this real quick. It wasn't Tips' fault, and it wasn't even Julius Randle's fault. Because a player like Julius Randle, man, we got to feel grateful to have a player like Julius Randle.
I agree with
Because
that.
if Julius Randle, seeing all the shenanigans that the front office promised him, telling him, "Oh, we're gonna bring you great players," and you got me Evan Fournier and Kemba Walker. Not taking away from Evan Fournier, I like Evan Fournier. I feel like once he feels comfortable and takes those shots is going in.
Yeah, on the right team, will be more effective on the right team. Funny, yeah.
But at the same time, we talking about Coach Thibodeau. His mindset is different than Evan Fournier because he's thinking about defense first and then shooting. So I like the progression that Evan Fournier is showing because just like BX and G Money just said early on, that last game that we seen Evan Fournier taking those couple minutes, man, he showed great defense. People say, well, it was average. No, it wasn't average. We talking about Evan Fournier? Because if it's Evan Fournier, this is not the type of Evan Fournier type of plays.
Right. That is true. Beautiful. And Fournier could play make too sometimes, yeah.
Right. That's why I was saying I said this to Chef Dan last season, and I still stay by it. If Fournier doesn't get moved in this trading deadline, I want to see and I was telling Chef Dan that I want to see Evan Fournier in a postseason with this team, with the Knicks. The reason why I want to see Evan Fournier in the postseason, remember, there's guys that in the postseason they take their basketball game level to another. They take their level of game to another level. Yeah. And I personally and you know me, I have even a meme on the channel with Pepe Le Pew whenever he scored and stuff for. My point is with Evan Fournier, when he gets in the postseason, I have a feeling he's a postseason type of player, money player who can hit the big shot. Yeah. You're gonna get Olympic, French national Evan Fournier if they get into the postseason with the Knicks. I know, boy, you're selling high on Evan Fournier. I just got that hunch that he's the type of player when it gets there, when money's on the line, big shot, you could count on him. And I'm not saying he has to play 40 plus minutes either, folks. Maybe 20, 17, but you're going to get a freaking Evan Fournier. You're like, whoa, where was this all regular season? And I have a funny feeling if they hold them in past this training deadline, they have that feeling. I have that hunch on it with Evan Fournier. But I wanted to bring another question that Darnell Davis asked a while back here, and I wanted to get your points across first. Was a question: is chemistry from a player or from a coach?
Everybody.
Both. Everybody. Both.
But you need your star player to back up the head coach's philosophy or this teaching in order to have that chemistry and camaraderie and that respect.
Yeah. You literally said it all right there, BX. Because think about it this way: with everything that we hear from Cam Reddish, we all agree we would love to continue to see Cam Reddish to have some type of involvement on actual games. But listen what's going to actually happen. If the coach, since day one, did not have a firm attitude by sitting him down, he wouldn't even bring out the message to the rest of the players. Because if he heard that from Cam Reddish and he start playing him and Cam Reddish balls out, now other players start having that type of feeling like, you know something, I could on Coach Thibodeau. Because this is what I want, and look what Cam Reddish got, and I feel I'm better. And it's gonna be one of those that at the end of the day, Coach Thibodeau is gonna get traded or he's gonna get moved or something. We talking about Coach Thibodeau being like a player. He's not a player, but at the same time, it's gonna be looking so dysfunctional that it's gonna be too late, too far away for them to actually do something.
Right. So the locker room.
Mm-hmm.
Let me say this. Let me. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Let me throw this. Let me throw this so you can elaborate on this one. Cam Reddish got here last season. Am I correct? Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
What happened last season when Reddish got here? Was the famous thumbs down. He was part of the team when Julius Randle was mad at the fan base. He
Mm-hmm.
was uncertain about. He can
Mm-hmm.
remember he didn't play like I believe the last 6 to 8 games of the season, whatever it was. I might be
Mm-hmm.
wrong. He didn't want to play. He was like he was checked out mentally. He
Oh, yeah.
needed. All right. He's the leader. Remember, we just talked about chemistry, players, and coaches. Now, if you're a Cam Reddish who's young and you know that your buddy RJ, that's not RJ's team though, but he's your buddy. You
Mm-hmm.
got it's Julius' team. If we like it or not like it, and you see Julius acting the way he's acting, and acting like he did act immature at that moment, letting it get the best out of him, and he's the one that's setting the example. Why should we get upset? And I'm not exonerating Cam Reddish. But I don't kind of understand why Reddish is challenging the coach a little bit here about, or not even, he didn't even go to the coach himself. He was trying to ask assistants, I want more playing time, and trying to try it a different way. And he didn't pout like a Julius Randle, but him asking for more of a role, more of an offensive role, moving is because, hey, if the main guy did it and he got his way, look at him now. He's a borderline all star. Maybe if I ask, since I'm a young guy who needs a contract and they traded a first round pick for me, maybe if I ask my assistants, they'll make me play more, give me more plays, run me more plays, and it backfired on Reddish. I'm just trying to go from another point of view, being maybe a devil's advocate or a lawyer type of deal, on why maybe Reddish acted or he didn't act inappropriately, just went to the coaches. And we don't know
Mhm.
how, like we said. Now, can we blame that a little bit on Randall for that action? See, that's why
Mm.
actions have a lot of consequences.
It's
Now,
true.
I wouldn't blame Julius Randle because what Julius Randle was showing is literally the same thing that we was saying early on. You telling me that you going to give me a contract? I told you as a player, I want to continue to do business with you guys. The way I was playing, I would have gained even more money, but I'd rather take a cut because you guys promising me that you're going to bring somebody to help me
Okay,
out.
fair point.
And this is what you bring, man. I'm telling you right now.
Fair point. That's another perspective. I
If
didn't think about that way.
if for me, if I was Julius Randle, I'm telling you, I would have asked for a trade month ago. And the only reason that the front office and Coach Thibodeau loves Julius Randle, they ain't gonna say it, but I'm telling you right now, they love Julius Randle based on that. That damn, we screw something good that was happening. And we did not took your take, Julius Randle, and we did not took the take of Coach Thibodeau. And we apologize. It's not gonna happen again.
All right. So let me ask this question. Let me throw this out there. I love this.
Mm-hmm.
This. Thibodeau, Randall. Let me ask this question and be your honest truth. Do you think both of them are here if and when the Knicks win a world title? Will they be part of the roster?
I
Yeah,
think so. I think
yeah.
so. Yeah. I think so. Yeah.
Julius Randle is man. I'm telling you right now. I hear a lot of people saying that Julius Randle is not a Batman. I'll tell you otherwise. He is our Batman because there's a lot of teams that has a Batman and they are in in the worst predicament than the New York Knicks. Of course, that if we start bringing up Atlanta game in the playoff, yeah, he didn't ball out. But there's players that for it being their first season going to the playoff and stuff,
Right.
it, it
Fair.
it takes time for them to adjust. I feel like Julius Randle, for some reason, he still has that chip on his shoulder that he did not show any type of productivity on last playoff. That he's trying to bring it back. He's trying to bring it back and trying to show something else. But hey, nobody complained about Giannis. He was one of those cats that he never produced in the playoff.
Fair
That
point.
is
And,
true until
and
2021.
exactly. And how can we criticize about Julius Randle if Giannis already got a chip? And everybody kept on saying, yeah, but guess what? Now it's playoff. And Giannis, we don't know him for being one of the play. And he did pretty well on the playoff before. And then the playoff that he actually got the chip, he actually proceeded even further.
And
So
I'm gonna piggyback on that. Coach Budenholzer, if they would have lost that playoff series, if they did not win the title, he was getting fired from Milwaukee.
Oh yeah, he was gone. They said it all. They said it throughout the whole playoffs. If they didn't win, he was going to bounce. And
So you could put Giannis and Budenholzer 1-2 in the hip, similar to
yeah,
Thibodeau and in a parallel. Well, I'm not saying Thibodeau. I'm not saying that. Yeah, I think Thibodeau's a better coach than Budenholzer, but Giannis is a much more excellent player than Julius
oh yeah,
Randle,
oh yeah,
above and beyond. But this in a parallel weird universe, they kind of like almost the same kind of boat in a different way.
mm-hmm.
I think Julius Randle is more than what people think.
Okay.
As I feel like if we give it time, Julius Randle may become one of the best players right now. But it's just one of those, and that's my personal opinion. And the only
Right.
reason
Yeah.
we don't actually see it like that is because hey, Knicks fan is tough. To
Yeah.
play for the Knicks is tough, man. Like
Mm-hmm. They're hectic sometimes.
Yeah, I'm not a big. I'm okay. With Randall. But I'm gonna be honest with you.
mm-hmm.
But I could give this credit to him. He's a two-time All-Star for the New York Knicks,
Mm-hmm.
and easily top 25 Knicks of all time. One of them in that column. You could
Yeah,
have
yeah, I agree.
top 25 Knicks of all time. And I'm like, what? Name him. Sit down and
Yeah.
name him. And he's around 25 until you get to
Yeah,
Julius Randle.
Mm-hmm.
That says something. And he's only been here for what, 4 years? And
four. Yeah.
he's already there in that top 25.
And the
Mm-hmm.
time that and the only team that he hasn't got his two-time All-Star has been with the Knicks. Man,
Yeah.
that's one of those that we gotta cherish this cat, man. We gotta embrace him. Like, hey,
I came to appreciation yesterday being yesterday at the arena, and he wasn't the main reason why really they won the game. It was
how
one.
how
Um,
close were you?
I was
Was
in a luxury box, so I was in a box. I was right by the Knicks bench, right on the box by the bunch there. Yeah.
oh, so you got a good look, bro.
Oh yeah.
That that
I
mother
was screaming. I was screaming at World Wide West.
that
Yeah.
mother flower, he's much bigger than when you actually see him and
Oh
pulse
no,
on that.
they're
On
larger
Yeah.
than life. Yeah.
no, but I'm telling you right now because I said just right behind them, and I'm telling you right now, the one that I thought that yeah he's big, but man that mother flower he looks like a robot.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
looks
Mitchell
crazy big,
Mitchell Robinson looks like Frankenstein out there.
Mm-hmm.
man.
He-
I just love my team. I love my team, and I love what I'm seeing. I just wish that everything continued to show improvement for what we have, because we not far away from actually getting something good with what we have right now.
All right. So real quick before we wrap up here,
Mm-hmm.
let me ask you how far they go this year. This team with no trades as of right now. The 10 minutes to 9 o'clock on the 8th of February. No trades. The current roster that we have currently on the floor right now. We're getting a Mitchell Robinson who's going to come back healthy. Let's say Cam Reddish doesn't get moved. Nobody gets traded. How far is this team in your eyes?
Forget fifth seed, forget sixth seed. We going for the fourth seed.
No, but where you go, how far do they go? Like when this
If they get to the playoffs,
when this storybook ends on the New York Knicks and the season comes to a conclusion, how far are we saying the Knicks went in your eyes? The way they're constituted right now.
Semifinals, semifinals, or at least the second round is one of those two in my eyes. That's what I'm seeing, because I'm telling you right now, Brunson ain't no joke.
Brunson
Brunson,
is beast.
he's taking it personal, and guess what? We still in regular season. We still haven't seen the type of Brunson from Dallas, because once he I don't know, but I feel like
I think we
Brunson.
got a better player than when he was in Dallas.
Well, we couldn't have seen it because it was one of those that they never showcased him that much. They only showcased him at the how do you call it, at the playoff, because Luka
Against Utah, against the Jazz. Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
So if Luka wasn't down, who knows? Maybe we would even have this type of conversation. We would still be looking for a point guard. I
Sure.
appreciate that at least we had that time to for Dallas to showcase Brunson. But I have like this is me. This is my own personal opinion. But I feel like Brunson, whatever we see from Brunson, that's nothing. That's nothing until we see the playoff.
Right.
And once we make the playoff, you're gonna see another version from Brunson.
G, what's your thoughts? This Knicks constituted. How far you think?
Right now, I'm gonna say between the sorry, currently constructed, I say they make the play in, maybe the playoffs though. I say between the play in or they just squeak in the playoffs though. Because because who knows, other teams can make trades too. So I say around playing, maybe playoffs.
No, like I said, no trades, nothing. The way the team is
Yeah,
cooked.
yeah. I know. I know what you're saying. I'm saying that currently constructed. I say New York either makes the play in or just squeaks into the playoffs, somewhere around that.
So let me say this real quick to G Money BX. As of right now, we know that Bucks ain't going nowhere and Celtics is not going nowhere. But to me, Miami, Brooklyn, Cleveland, and Philly is not going to stay where they at. Everything right now is still up for grab because especially Brooklyn, yeah, they have something good after Kyrie left and they have this dude making over 35 points or whatever. Yeah. But how consistent is it going to be is one of those questions, you know? So it's just one of those that you've seen players you've seen players pick up where somebody left off, but in the long run, they're not used to that type of attention, and they start bringing it down, and it's not the same. You know what I mean? So that's what I think about Brooklyn. That's what's going to happen with Brooklyn. Miami is still trying to figure it out. Cleveland and Philly. That's why I keep on saying that we heading for the fourth seed again. Hopefully we on it.
I think the Knicks become a playoff team. I think they win around. I think this year they'll win around the way they're currently constituted because they play too many close games and they're winning them.
Yeah.
They're
Yep.
learning how to win. They're learning how to close
Yeah.
out. They got Jalen Brunson. There's a sample size here of the way they play hard and adding strength. I also think that they will go in the second round and they will fall close. They'll take it to a game seven on a brink, and they just will lose that game. They'll something weird, wacky. They will lose there. That's the way I'm thinking. They're definitely gonna probably play the 4-5 game. I believe they'll be the fifth. Personally, I don't think they'll get as four. I would love for fourth. I don't think they'll. Yeah, but because I think Brooklyn is going to go. The city's going to go bananas. It's going to be Brooklyn and New York. They're gonna go 4-5 and they'll beat Brooklyn. They just have that venom. Brooklyn's going to be considered a loss. Kevin Durant won't even play. He'll be injured. Spencer Dinwiddie, he's good. I love Dinwiddie. I want him on this team. I don't think Brooklyn has enough to beat the Knicks here.
Mm.
Personally, so is they going to go to the second round and they're going to make it a competitive second round. We're going to know that the team has deficiency. The warts are going to show in the second round when they play whoever they play in that second round. Because remember, the competition will get better. It all depends matchup. Because if you tell them you're going to get a Joel Embiid again, the 76ers against the Knicks in the second round, you are going to go in there thinking you have a chance to beat the 76ers. I know Embiid is a handful, but do you trust a Harden and Doc Rivers in the second round when the collar gets a little tight? They tend to choke a little. So but we have a lot to talk about that. We don't, like I said, if it's constructed today and the way we see on the floor, and I know they're gonna say, oh, you're just homerism. Maybe. I'm gonna be honest, maybe it is a little bit of Knicks homerism. Because we also seen them lose against teams that they shouldn't, like Toronto, but Toronto is because they have that height advantage. I
Height.
always say that's a bad matchup. Certain teams are a bad matchup and certain teams are good. The Knicks played the 76ers well, other than that Christmas game, and that Christmas game was close.
Mm.
And Sixers pulled away late in that fourth quarter, but the Knicks play well against the 76ers. Plain and simple. They do. They have something. They beat them twice already this season. They just have some certain teams in the East. They just play good, and certain teams they can't not play good against,
I,
and that's it.
I have a feeling like the Knicks they be preparing too much for teams that we not supposed to beat, that the team that is not supposed to beat us, we don't do that much homework, and that's why we don't match well with teams like Atlanta in that playoff run. Because I said it a million times, like, hey, I'd rather match up against Heat straight out of the get go, or Philly, not
Right.
Atlanta, not
Right, you right. Those type of teams. Yeah, I agree with you. You know when we play Brooklyn and it's, it's going to be Westbrook, Durant, the old buddies trying to win another title because both Westbrook is going to the Brooklyn Nets. Don't say he's going to the Knicks, and you're laughing because we're going to be laughing at you when Westbrook goes to the Knicks to the Brooklyn Nets. It's gonna we've been saying it's going to be the Nets or Miami who he's going to end up with.
hmm
Plain and simple. He's not coming to no Knicks. The Knicks don't need that point guard. They
no.
have point guard. They have shooting guards. There is no room for a Westbrook to play on this team. There is none.
hmm hmm
There is none. So yeah, but you have to ask your GM. Your GM Kevin Durant might want to sign Westbrook. You got to ask your general manager. The fan base might not want Adam, but the general manager Durant might want Westbrook at a cheap price. You never know.
Hey, at the end of the day, they got Westbrook, but I'm still laughing for that trade for Kyrie. So they still, to me, are the laughing stock of the
I
season.
kind of like Spencer Dinwiddie and Dorian Finney-Smith. I kind of like them.
Yeah,
They
I'm not saying that he's bad. I'm just saying that for what they got out of
Oh,
Kyrie,
of course,
that's
no, you're never going to get equal value for that
no.
kind of talent. But sometimes they feel like maybe we take one step back or two step back to try to take a couple leaps in a couple years forward without the headaches and the peace and the atmosphere. And look at Ken Thomas though; he answered them with four straight 40 plus games. He's become an offensive threat. Maybe he takes off here. He scored more than Kyrie. Kyrie's given them has scored 40 points for the Brooklyn Nets. At least 2 games in a row? No. This guy's done it three. That's
Yeah,
a
Three against good teams, Clippers, Suns, against a Wizards team that was playing well, playing okay at the time. Yeah,
yeah,
that's a
but we seen KD with Russell Westbrook. They have a great relationship, but during the playoff,
because they both want the ball in their hands and they want to do crazy things. Yeah,
it,
that's why it's going to work really well for Brooklyn when they sign him.
oh Lord, I do wish the best for them, but it's just gonna be one of those that whenever KD sees himself in a tight position, he's gonna call him out, and Russell Westbrook he ain't gonna have it.
I don't see Toronto breaking it up though. We have Siakam, OG Anunoby, Fran Van Fleet. Why? I mean, everybody wants those players, but why not keep them all to play and retool? You got a hell of a coach there, Nick Nurse, who's a freaking a championship coach. Why?
What did they got out of it?
No, they haven't made any trade, but everyone wants them. Like pick on them. Let's get Siakam. Let's get OG on. I can see why OG wants a contract extension. Van Fleet as well, but they have their own bird rights. They could go over the cap for these guys. They just then they're gonna have a good draft pick. Scotty Barnes is on there, young. So it's kind of weird where Toronto's position is. How everybody wants to go at them and pluck players away from them when they have good players themselves. Toronto, you know,
Mm-hmm.
it's weird. Never going to be together. Maybe that's what it is. But all in all, other than that, we'll see. Well, tomorrow I'm not. Let me end it here because I got to come back on here to do tomorrow more NBA talk and trades. I don't want to leave some bullets for tomorrow in the chamber. I don't want to just go back. I don't. Armory is cheap. Bullets are cheap. Or not cheap. I mean, they're expensive now. It's hard to get.
Uh-huh.
But
Yeah,
hey,
those
man,
are nice.
nice. It's been a pleasure, dude, man. You don't be a stranger, bro. You got my phone number there. Don't be a stranger. Sometimes I don't have anyone to have that conversation with the Knicks. Chef Dan is working. Chef Dan will be busy. But hey, yeah, man, everyone pop out and talk about a little bit basketball. You more than just hit me up, man. We'll come on here and have a conversation. We'll put it a little bit long for the podcast. I might put the whole 3 hours on the audio platform. Why not? Somebody working out or doing anything, they could enjoy this audio platform here on the audio platform. Don't forget, hit it. Find us anywhere on the Google Podcast, Spreaker, Spotify, Anchor FM, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music. Just put BX Sports Jedi Network. All the different programs in the audio platform, anywhere here on YouTube, Twitch, Rumba, and a Facebook app. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. Chef Dan sends his regard. He is working, so Chef Dan will be soon. He is itching to return back from, but work comes first. You know how that goes. And of course, we want to thank Nice, who's joined us on the panel. G Money, Gideon, who's having dinner, but I know he's taking care of duties back there. Hey man, we love to have you guys again. Give your comments. Thank you, Darnell Davis, Pope. Thank you for everyone that joined. Good to see Frankie Mantos joining us. Frank Mantos from West Palm Beach. Of course, everyone that we see up and down, Johnny Davis of Darnell Davis. We missed our mayor. Mayor didn't come up tonight, but he'll be around. Jesus, we saw Jesus. Johnny Davis, Knicks GM 100, bringing some good stuff. Knicks Talk was in the building. Jose Melo. Thank you guys. We appreciate everyone up and down with the comments, with the questions, making this Richard Chris as well. Thank you again. We really appreciate seeing you guys, talking to everyone. We also had Dave, who sent a nice comment there. We appreciate it. Let's get it. Let's go, Knicks. We got now. Let me ask this last question. We got Philadelphia, Utah, Brooklyn, Atlanta before 4 games. What are you looking for? Give me a realistic record for the Knicks to close out this.
Okay, I'm gonna say 2-2. I'm gonna say 2-2. I think we lose to Philly, beat Utah, beat Brooklyn, lose to Atlanta.
Nice.
3-1.
3-1. I want 3-1.
Me too,
But
3-1.
I can see the way they've been playing, a little bit of
Yeah.
win two, lose one, back and forth inconsistency with that. I can see the 2-2.
Mhm.
Personally, I would love them. Personally, if we could somehow take that back to back, you're playing with house money with
Yeah.
the Atlanta and the Brooklyn game. Either one.
Right.
I would love John L. Davis. I would love 04. Trust me, I would
I'm
love to
with
be the
this.
76ers, the Utah, go beat the Brooklyn Nets, and then take the Atlanta Hawks. I would love that. I would, you know what? Phenomenal. I would love that from your lips to God's ears. But we back on myself to do the watch along on Friday. So please join us. We'll be here. We'll love to always the interaction from the chat. We enjoy seeing everyone again. Again, I want to thank my panelists for coming on. We'll see you next time. Peace.
Peace.